Hello and welcome to Shredded Cels, episode 50. I am your host, Alex Schmitz, and with me here today is Kenneth McNulty, Clara Heiberger, Andrew Gleason, and Tristan Wayne.
Sorry to clear my throat. So Tristan. Better have a great bait helps wash it down.
Yeah, you know, we were
all right, all at once now.
all right.
And then everybody walked off.
Yeah, you know, we were thinking about like trying to come up with some sort of clever opening for the 50th episode, but no, we just revert to this.
You're welcome. This is that's why you bring us here.
This is really our high
Jontron
point.
shit.
Oh yes.
So geniuses, they genius eye.
Genius. No, it's just geniuses.
Okay, cool.
Your genius is showing.
So yes, in case you hadn't. In case you didn't know, you know, given that we've just only had, 49 episodes before this to build you up to it, we are part of Tech Heads, which is part of AVW Productions, a media production organization here at Ohio University. We here at Tech Heads do all sorts of cool things with video games, movies, music, anime, podcasts. We got a blog. We're pretty cool. We're here today to talk about anime. Specifically, we're going to be doing a redux of our top 10 anime TV shows of all time. We did one of these last semester, and since then we've seen a lot of anime, and we thought it would be appropriate to come up with like a new list, for the 50th episode, since this is kind of a big deal. We'll also be talking about some of our favorite moments just from the podcast, Shredded Cels memories and all that good stuff.
We're all Alex Schmitz.
Just bringing that one back.
That was one of the best moments. I remember.
All right. Well, before we get into that, I thought there were a couple actually big pieces of news, two of which came out just today that I saw on ANN. One is that Black Lagoon is coming to Toonami on March 22nd. I believe it's replacing Sword Art, I think.
Ooh.
Good replacement.
Chris is going to be mad.
Yeah, so I don't know. Black Lagoon, apparently it's only the first season, and people are a little worried that they're going to have to censor, bleep a lot of things out because they swear, all the time in that show.
Don't just voice over and say, oh, fudge.
No, my favorite
no.
thing in
Even
Japanese
Adult
is that
Swim
they
has
swear all the
standards.
time and no one cares.
They do. Like One Piece. They say, bad words all the time.
Well, they say damn a lot, for
Poor
sure.
language.
Well, Black Lagoon goes into F-word territory.
Ooh, that's
and
pretty broken,
yeah,
some dangerous stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, although Matt was telling me that the second season is actually much more swear heavy than the first, and the first is all they're doing for Toonami apparently.
I swore that was better than that. I don't know.
Oh, that was a joke. I couldn't tell.
Oh,
Do my best.
yeah, this is Kenny we're talking about. It's just nothing but terrible puns.
They're
All the
wonderful.
Expect nothing but good things.
All right, and then this one might excite Clara. Free is getting a season 2.
Yay.
What is it?
Here we go.
Free.
The swimming anime.
Oh, no, I did see that. I actually saw that piece of news. I was
Swimming
like, neat.
anime.
The yaoi train never stops.
Oh no.
Shush,
They're
it's
very
beautiful.
handsome.
Okay, no, everything about the anime is beautiful. Everything is accurate and gorgeous and sparkles.
Because that's how real life looks,
No,
right?
Every
actually,
guy with their
they're
shirt off
totally
is
true.
gorgeous, sparkly, and has no nipples.
Did you
No.
never sneak in and watch the swim team?
Every little bit
Wait,
of
swim team
muscle
people don't have nipples?
and
This is news to me.
movements is totally accurate to everything you do when you swim. It's 100%.
Oh no, I won't deny
It's
this show is beautifully
gorgeous.
animated. It's
They teach you how to
Kyoto
swim.
animation.
And there's drama.
KyoAni.
And there's
Yeah.
drama.
Yeah, so I don't know. They didn't confirm whether it was when it was coming out, but I assume it'll probably be sometime
Squeals
this year.
Loudly.
So that's coming out, And then just today, Rooster Teeth announced that Volume 2 of Ruby is going to be coming out in the
Screams
summer.
even louder.
It's debuting at RTX, their convention, and then coming out online probably a few days afterwards.
Well, this has been the day we're waiting for.
it's true.
We should all go. It's only July, right?
Yeah, it is July, but
Yeah, it'll be fine.
you have the money for that to go down to Austin?
I'll get back to you.
I have
Don't
no
worry
money.
about
Yeah, that's not going to work for me. So that's cool. Apparently, I think they said there are going to be 12 chapters, but they're all going to be around 12 minutes long. So
Oh, but not super
longer
long anymore.
episodes.
Screams
Oh, wait.
loudly.
They weren't
So-
that long. Never mind.
Yeah, they were some of them were long, but then others were 4 minutes. So it's a little weird.
Can I plug in that bit of news that I brought in today?
Oh yeah, sure.
All right. Well, those who follow Shifty Look the Comic online, Bandai Namco's subsidiary, which releases webcomics based on their content, just today it was announced that, well, it was announced a little while ago, but a new trailer went up for a Wonder Momo anime based on the webcomic that they put up. This is, well, it's news to me, so I hope it's news to you.
So they're making an anime from a comic they've made.
Yeah, they're making an anime from a webcomic based on a video game, but the webcomic
That's
was made by
awesome.
an American.
So it went from video game all the way to anime.
Yeah.
I like it.
As we wait for Homestuck anime. Hey,
Yeah,
you
we'll
shush.
see.
I read it in 6
No,
days.
I'm not. I'm saying it would be kind of a messy affair.
It'd be stupid. But I mean,
Yeah.
they've done worse, but
Yeah, that's true.
They could try.
yes.
That shit was
Oh,
great.
don't you talk shit about.
I love
we'll,
Bobo.
We'll talk.
I
We're
love
getting it.
Okay,
Bobo.
good,
I
good.
Pact
love
right
it.
here. Bobo gets on the top 10.
All right. Wait. Okay. Oh, spoiler alert. Yours?
What?
What?
Bobo on
Bobo.
the top 10.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Packed.
Very good.
Let's
Let's
go.
go.
Okay, and then the last piece of news. This was just something kind of interesting I was reading. Goro Miyazaki, who's the son of Hayao Miyazaki, acclaimed Studio Ghibli director.
Pixar didn't happen.
Goro Miyazaki, who directed Tales from Earthsea and From Up on Poppy Hill, is apparently going to be directing some TV anime this fall. I forget the name of it. I just saw it on ANN today. The one thing that worried me about it is that because it said it would be like this one production studio and Studio Ghibli working on it, but it did say like 3D CG. Like CG, so it's like, oh, is it gonna be like a CG thing, not like hand drawn, like 2D?
Appleseed?
Yeah,
It's still
I don't
really
know.
good.
I mean, it still could be
Great.
good.
Yeah.
I would prefer it if it was 2D,
It
but
can still be pretty. Who don't know?
yeah, no,
I know Miyazaki for their 2D, so
yeah. Well, we'll see. I don't
see.
know,
2D continue.
but
That was a stretch. Come back to you later.
Ooh, something I saw in the news.
Okay.
When I was skimming things, and you probably heard about this because you hear about these things. But
okay. I hear about these things.
whatever was like, because Fate Zero was a prequel to whatever show.
Oh,
Fate Stay Night.
right. You're talking about the Fate Stay Night remake
Yeah,
by
yeah.
Ufotable.
Yeah, because I heard they're getting a second season
Oh my.
Well,
no, not second
or
season.
whatever.
They're
That's
basically
something.
Basically, the first Fate Stay Night anime was made by a different company, and now UFO Table is taking their own strike at
Wait,
it.
UFO table? That's a thing?
Or their
It's
remake.
That's the name of the studio.
it's UFO Table is how it's spelled, but I think it's Ufotable.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I think it's UFO Table. I'm
Either way.
sorry. That's my personal opinion. But basically, the people who made Fate Zero will be remaking the original series. We'll see how that
So
goes.
it's not bad? Because I heard
I-
the original one was not that good.
Yeah, I heard that too, and I have people who would agree with me. But the curious thing is, it's kind of hard to make something that was a game that had three different completely different story routes.
You can
Grammar
write.
is good,
Fate
but
Day
basically,
Night is a game?
Fate Stay Night is
It's
a game.
it's a
The
visual
anime
novel.
based off
it
a
was a
game?
Yep. A visual
Well,
novel. Don't get too excited.
Yeah, it's
now.
the Fate Stay Night was a visual novel. Fate Zero was a light novel. That's the difference.
Like a light read?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
basically.
book.
It's a book.
The visual novel is
And then
basically
there's a
like
light novel. I know
it's
that was a
basically
thing.
it's telling you a story, but using a lot of visuals and effects
Oh,
and
okay.
sounds,
That's cool. I like
voices
that.
depending on which your version is. But it had three different branching story routes.
Right.
So
what I've heard though is that with this Fate Stay Night remake, it's either A, going to focus on the Heaven's Feel route, which is apparently like the dark route from the
God
visual
help us
novel,
all.
or B, it sounds like they might do some like anime original stuff, like to try to tie it in with Fate Zero and basically like make it better.
I don't know.
So-
It's a weird choice to be sure, but I'll be following.
Oh, I'll be watching it for sure. Ufotable is one of the best animation
UFO
studios.
Table. I swear to you, Ufotable doesn't sound good.
I like UFO table.
UFO Table sounds better.
Yes, because UFO is the thing. What's an UFO?
We can settle on UFO table. That's in between.
UFO Table? All right,
UFO
fine.
Table? Okay.
Whatever.
UFO
We'll go with
Table.
that.
Honk.
Okay, so now that we've gone through the news, let's just do a quick round of animation we've watched since last time. Kenny, Clara, and I we just came from watching several episodes of
One Piece.
One Piece. NES Lobby.
Robin.
Yeah.
I think we can all say we've watched Space Dandy.
Oh, yes.
I wish I did.
The-
Sandy's great.
The fourth
It's a-
episode
it's
was
literally a
pretty
movie about
good,
Jack.
actually.
I unfortunately did not get to catch it.
Oh, it's a zombie episode.
Yeah, that's why I was
gosh.
sad.
Yeah.
Space Dandy.
Now
It's all
tw-
about the booty.
Twice in the show now, in the first episode and the fourth episode, basically Space Dandy and everyone die. So and
He dies?
yeah, he dies, but then the next episode just starts and they don't reference the previous episode.
love shows like that.
So,
No continuity.
there's no continuity, not at all.
Sweet.
Continuity is lame and only drags down a good story.
Yeah, so there's that. Kenny, what else have you been watching recently?
My shows finally updated themselves on YouTube, so I saw the newest Bravest Warriors and Deep Space 69.
What is that? Because Deep Space Nine is my favorite Star Trek.
It's,
so what's that? Is it
It's
just the
nothing
porn
like
version?
that.
Nothing
Is it
like
the
that.
porn
Modern
version?
entertainment.
Damn it!
It's imagine like a super exacerbated version of Captain Kirk with a koala sidekick.
And everything's about sex.
That's what it is.
So it's
this
the
my
porn
sexual
version
life?
of Star Trek.
Space.
In space.
Well, yeah,
In space.
Yep.
And Bravest Warriors. Bravest Warriors.
yeah. Bravest
Yes,
Warriors.
Bravest Warriors new episode was
Nice.
awesome. But other than that, in One Piece, have not watched any of the other animation.
All right, Clara.
I actually, not allowed to judge, I, along with my friend Ellen, are huge fans of Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt. So I've been
would we judge
watching.
you?
It's the greatest thing ever. I love it so much. Like I remember, I can't remember what made me. No, it was on DeviantArt. There was a meme about Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt, and I was like, all right, cool. And so I was looking at it, and everyone's like, don't ever watch this. And I was like, I must watch this. So I did. And I felt completely in love with it. I love their song Anarchy, and it's beautiful. The ending's still good. It just kills me. What
Is
else
it like
do
the
I want?
Bobobo ending?
It's yes. It really is like that. It just breaks you.
Oh, it's over?
Oh yeah, and there's
Oh,
never
it's
going to be a
long
second
over.
season ever.
No, I've never
They're
seen
just like
They basically ended it like all Gynax shows, and with you wondering what the hell just happened.
it was
But
great.
something did happen. It was
Something did happen.
I
Bravest
watched
Warriors.
Bravest Warriors and Deep Space with Kenny, and what else did I watch recently? I've been watching a whole lot of anime because I've been watching all the Lord of the Rings, so
That's a good choice.
But you seen them all.
extended edition.
Had you never seen it
a better
before?
choice.
No.
Oh, yeah,
So
they're
So
good.
now I'm
hours is
caught up. Well,
awesome.
now I have to watch the Hobbits, but
12 hours
as
is
Joshua's yelled at me,
perfect.
those aren't Lord of the Rings. So I was like, all right,
Shout out to
Joshua.
the Hobbit.
Yeah,
Right.
technically. So.
Still counts as one.
All right. So as for me, just been keeping up with some of the 2014 anime. Well, of significance, I just decided one day, all right, I'm just gonna watch this show because I'd heard about it. Something called Waiting in the Summer. It was actually very good. I heard it compared to Anohana, and it definitely has a lot of similarities. I don't think it's as good as Anohana, but it still was nice. Had some nice characters. Made you feel some feels. There at the end, nice little animation. So that was cool. And I rewatched the Madoka Rebellion film just because I wanted to sort of experience that again. And the more I rewatch it, the more I really fall in love with it. Like
How
I
many
think
times have you seen it?
just 3, but
Just 3. All right, that's
just
cool.
3,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I honestly think Homura is like one of the most tragic characters like in
Oh,
all of
definitely.
anime. Like
Oh,
with what
hashtag
they've done
find
with
out.
her, it's pretty awesome. And then of the anime I've just been watching normally, Kill la Kill last week, episode 15, had a really, really awesome episode. So I'm interested to see where it goes. Tonight's episode hasn't come out quite yet, but Samurai Flamenco's been good. Nagi no Asakara, Golden Time, like all those shows that I've been watching. They're all doing good. No, nothing super amazing, but I've been enjoying all those. Andrew.
Speaking of Anohana, I finally finished that.
Oh, what did you think of it?
It was awesome, sad, awesome. There were feels.
Were there
lots of
manly
feels.
tears?
There were.
Yeah.
There were
Many
some.
of
There
them.
were. I
Were there
teared up.
manly
I didn't
tears?
like Ball, but there were some tears.
Good. I
Yes.
bawled.
It
One
was-
tear go down.
It was there was like the
single
one
tear.
No, we're not going to talk about it, but
What anime was this?
it did.
Anohana.
Anohana.
We're not going to I don't want to
I have no idea.
get into it because they're still sifting through some emotions. But
I
yes.
understand this. I'm
Oh,
so
yes.
sorry.
We've
Maybe
been there
next-
before.
But maybe next week I'll be. Able
I
to talk about
haven't.
it, but
I look at all you
like the end
people
of space.
it
crying.
does. But it does make the top 5 list now, so I can say that. And
Nice.
feel proud. And otherwise, what have I been watching? We've been showing my roommates Digimon Season 3.
Like
Is this
not
Peter or the
Peter
other
or
one?
someone else?
My other roommate, because Pete's in love with Digimon Season 3.
Yeah, you
so
guys watch it together,
My
I thought.
other roommate, we've been showing him because he never finished it, and we're at the dark part, the really, really dark, really disturbing.
things
like
get dark?
surprisingly, no, things get so dark in
I
that
said
show.
the 3rd season where things kind of turn around.
It gets very,
Yes.
it drives you to. There are some feels there too.
Are you watching it
I can
subbed or
imagine.
dubbed?
Dubbed. He got it for Christmas for.
Nice.
I might need to make him watch it subbed because we think it might be darker in like Japanese. So
Might be more so.
They probably will. Yeah, they probably hide a few things in the dub.
otherwise, I haven't kept up with Kill la Kill or Samurai Flamenco. I'm gonna get Pete on that like this weekend. We're gonna get
Yes,
through
you need
what
to
we're
catch up.
missing.
It'll probably be something I end up marathoning once it's over. At
Oh
this
yeah,
rate.
yeah. Kill la Kill is definitely one you have to watch. It's ridiculous and fan servicey, but it's pretty awesome.
So it's a Gynax. Well, Studio Trigger production.
I feel like there's a reason for there's like a plot or metaphorical reason for the fan service. I swear there is. There's something going on here. 'cause
I
they
would be
reference-
Kill a kill? You're
I
saying?
wouldn't be surprised if there was.
They reference like 1984 and all sorts of things too much for there not to be something smart going on here.
Yeah.
Sure, last episode they're gonna have some huge twists. They're gonna be like, whoa. What happened? I haven't seen the show, so I have no idea.
All right, Tristan, what have you been watching?
Well, nothing good, I'll tell you that.
Whoa. Heavy accusations.
Well then.
No, basically, I've been picking up the scraps that nobody else would be watching. Of course, I've been watching it with friends.
God.
Among them, Supersonico the anime, which we have decided to call Nothing Happening the anime, as that is exactly what goes on.
I
So
saw
what happens?
I saw that on Crunchyroll, like in the list of new anime, but it looked pretty bad. So I haven't even watched.
Well,
the first.
it's not. I'll give it credit. It's nicely animated, and it already has more songs than even K-On! did, as each ending is its own song. And that manager character's sublime. Monster Mask manager. Give me more, please. But the rest of it is standard slice of life. Everything going good for this character. Nothing happening. The anime.
All right.
I'm so
The
sorry
other
to hear
thing
that.
I've been watching is no judgments in case you've heard about this one.
Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
Recently, my little sister has been unusual.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, is that what it's called?
Yeah, then yes, that is what it's called. The Japanese translation, I cannot be asked to tell it in its original language, but it is shameless.
Yeah, it's an incest anime, isn't it?
No, not actually.
No.
And again, giving credit where it's due, instead of following this bland protagonist that you're supposed to be, and so he's boring and does nothing, it follows the little sister instead, as she's possessed by a ghost who tells her, "Have sex with your brother, or else you'll die too."
That sounds like
Yep,
an anime, I guess.
It is not good. Something
that's a
good
thing.
that I did that I
literally
enjoyed.
perfect for every hentai.
Robot Girl Z, which is a bunch of comedic shorts based on classic Toei robots.
Okay.
There's
At least one good thing then.
well, the release schedule of it's a little weird. Is the downside is that like 3 shorts came out and then they got the Blu-ray and translated it in bulk. The next episode will not be coming out until February.
Oh, the wait.
The
eternal
wait. Since they're all shorts and it's strange. Other than that, I've been been catching up on the Super Sentai series. I've been watching Jetman and watched Kamen Rider Stronger, and it's been taking up a lot of my life as I've been looking up the figures. And just recently came back from having a big rant about the production of the series and its relation to Power Rangers with my mother. Hi, Mom.
So you
I
had a
love
fun
you.
time watching stuff, it sounds like.
Apparently.
Honestly,
impressed.
if you're going to watch anything bad, watch it with friends. Because honestly, I could not watch Supersonico or Little
Rule
Sister
number 1.
Well,
with
That's like my
by
killer movie
myself.
corner. I only watch bad movies with friends because I would never be
Yes.
Jeremy and let's watch Food Fight by myself.
yeah.
Oh
no.
no,
Why would you do
that's
that?
an experience
he's
that would
Jeremy.
make you want to stab yourself repeatedly
think
with
the word
this
is
plastic
masochist.
knife and
Stir
wonder why it's not doing anything.
All right. So we've gone through the animation we did since last time. So now we're going to move on to the main topic, which for this week is going to be this top 10 list that we're going to all sort of come up with together. So the thinking is that we're going to go around basically and all list our top 5 favorite animes, and the reasons why we like them, it's just in short summary, and I'll start writing things down, and we'll basically just going to come up with a big list of shows that we want to nominate and then narrow it down, and rank them, and that will be our top 10 list.
Yes.
So I'll go ahead and go first. I actually created my own top 25 list and published it on this blog I've
Really?
got.
What time do you
didn't
have?
What? Just writing something up like that doesn't take that
Takes a
long.
while. You gotta think about that kind of
Excuse
stuff.
me a moment.
You watch it? I mean, I like it. The whole person
I'll take that. I'll take it. Piccolo would kick me if he was around.
Oh, that's not even Piccolo.
I'll make
That's
sure he's
Thanks,
around.
Piccolo.
Trust me. Piccolo will be in the conversation
Oh, yes.
tonight.
Yeah, for you, he will.
Give me
And
time.
I also thought this would just be a good, thing for our listeners. I am the master overlord of the podcast here, but I don't have total control over what's going on. So if this is Alex's ideal top 10 list, but I have a feeling what we come up with is not going to equal this.
Wait, hold on. You said bring top 5. You're bringing out top 10. That's
Well,
cheating.
I can read just my top 5 if that's really what you want.
Yeah,
Of course,
read your
do what
top
you want.
5.
Okay.
It'll save time.
Fine.
Yeah, I mean,
So fine. Number 5, Clanad.
Yes.
Recent edition,
Yes.
and it is flawed, especially some of the stuff in the first season, but the second season just gets to such brilliance, and it's literally the most emotional, probably of anything I've ever seen,
Yes.
movie, TV show, anime or not.
All of my yes.
Clara will not hear any of these flawed things. so-
No, there are no flaws in Clanad.
There are
That's
flaws.
what we call fangirlism.
There's flaws, but that doesn't mean it's not great.
What's the flaw?
Clanad is pretty
Well, that's
awesome.
great.
What's a paladin?
Excuse me.
Oh.
All right, number 4, Steins Gate, just one of my all-time favorite animes.
That's where you're wrong.
It's got
Very
awesome
good.
time travel, but also lots of feelings. So combine feelings and time travel and plot, and you get something
Is
awesome.
Stein the main character?
No,
Wow.
we
It's a
don't.
weird name then.
Well, you don't even know what Steins Gate means.
Does he have a
That's the
gate?
thing.
I'm in this anime.
It's true. He dressed up as Daru for OhioCon.
Dude, nice.
All right, and number 3, Cowboy Bebop, classic.
Cowboy Beep Boop.
Wow,
the
didn't see
Citizen
that
Kane of
coming.
anime. Yes.
Feels all the blue books.
Number 2, Full Alchemist Brotherhood, my favorite sort of shonen-y anime. But
And then all the people who liked the original come in and beat you with a riding
hey,
crop.
we did a podcast on that. I'll fight anyone who really thinks that the original is better than Brotherhood because
That's good. That's good. That's
strongly
dedication,
disagree.
sir.
Who thinks that?
I don't know who thinks that. I've never.
There's
heard
a
of
number of people that do, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
But they're heathens.
I think the
We
argument's
don't talk
overall
to them.
stupid. Full Metal's kind of good overall.
I guess.
you know.
And then number 1, Madoka Magica. I used to have it last year. I had it my number 3 spot, and Brotherhood and Cowboy Bebop were above it. But now it's just jumped up to number 1 because it's honestly my favorite anime. I've rewatched it so many times. I love it. It's my
Wow.
favorite.
Wow,
I've
I did
heard-
not see that coming.
I didn't know you actually saw Madoka. I just heard you mention it once or twice.
Oh,
I
really?
never knew,
It's not like you've had pictures of Cuba on your wall reminding you every day.
Yeah, I thought Satan was sending that. I didn't know it was you. Thanks for letting me know now. I have someone on my target list.
So,
We'll
I guess
see.
just a quick thing to wrap up your list. Would you make a contract and become a magical girl?
No, I know Cuba's
No,
gonna try to kill
no,
me.
no.
Such
You
a
don't
pretty
know
magical
anything.
girl.
Would you?
Be a pretty girl.
Probably
With magic.
not. I don't
like
have any
magic?
like
I
tragic
sense hesitation.
backstories.
Alex would do it in a heartbeat.
He would totally do it. He would become the little girl.
Good thing he can't hear us.
Yes,
Her hands in the
not
way.
at all.
Definitely not. Kenny, what's your top 5?
Well, number 1 and 2 have always been the same. Number 1 is still Ava, because it's the greatest show that's ever existed, and I will contest that, because it's great. And number 2 is Cowboy Bebop, because that show changed my life. But this
Cowboy
is where things
Bebop.
get real sexy.
All right,
The
this
show
is
that
where
made
things
me who I
get
am
sexy.
today. The man you see before you, and you can't see.
Wow.
Dragon Ball Z is the greatest show to ever exist. The filler supreme. That's where I get my fill with fillers.
filler
It is
Why do I
definitely
say
the
filler
filler
arc?
supreme.
Because it's great. Tell me to be a man. Number 4, I'm gonna have to say I really like One Piece. Really starting to grow on me. I like it a lot, but it's not my list because number 4, I had a different one. Fate Zero. That one was awesome because Ryder is the best character
Ryder
from
is the
anything
best.
next to Goku because Dragon Ball Z. Going back to that. And then number 5, I had one. It was there and it was great.
One Piece.
I'm gonna have to go with the anime that's made me laugh the hardest, and that's Boba Boba. No, I forgot. No, I'm back, guys. I remember now. Sorry. Number 4 is Attack on Titan because that's the
I'm
greatest show that
sorry,
ever
you didn't
exists.
say Bobobo, so I lost interest in precedence in
Hold
everything
on.
you said.
Attack on Titan's 4. The number 5
Sorry.
was the one I said that was number 4.
Fate Zero.
Fate Zero. Number 6 is Boba Bo. Boba Bo. I will
Okay.
dip over to 6.
No Bobobo, no Bobobo. Top 5 would not rent.
All right,
It's great.
Clara.
All right, so I don't know if some of these really count, but the first one is Clannad. I've watched it so many times, it's stupid. Like, over the 2 years that it was on demand for me, I watched it whenever it came on. It actually when I've said this before, but when After Story came up, I didn't realize it was the same thing for a while. So I missed the first couple episodes of After Story the first time around, but I caught them the second time. This one anime I really, really like that not a lot of people have heard of is called Yozakura Quartet.
Oh, I've actually been watching not Yozakura Quartet, but the second season, Hana no Uta. It was like one of the ones from last
skipped the
season.
I'm not happy with what they did with it.
Really?
They
I
made it
liked
into
it.
like this gigantic fan service thing.
There's fan service. It's not that bad though.
Hey, it's girls
not-
with characters. We can sell them.
It's not what the first season was, and that makes me really upset. Because I was like looking at stuff on Tumblr. I'm like, oh, I haven't heard this in forever. I wanted to cosplay Hime really, really bad because I had the same hair at the time. And that was my whole thing. Like, I don't like cutting my hair for cosplays or dyeing it because that kills everything. But yeah. Another one, Madoka has a very high spot, but I cannot decide between Madoka and Panty and Stalking because I love them both for different reasons, but I want them both on my list. And I'm also torn between Book of Bontora and Pokemon Seasons 1 through 3.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Okay. No, Pokemon was my life when I was a child. You cannot take this away from me.
No, you know what?
Pokemon is great.
I'll give her 1 through C. The Kanto stuff was fair.
See, the thing was,
best.
like,
The Orange
I started off with Hoenn. Was like the first game I understood. Like, I was old enough to actually understand. Like, oh hey, I actually have to put types into battle. I can't just use my Feraligatr for everything. So my team was Blaziken, Scarberry, Linoon, and then I got a Jirachi, which destroyed everything. And I loved my Jirachi, and I mastered all the contests. I worked so hard to get everything master ranked, so I would get the picture, and I would get in the museum, and then I got that amazing little statue you could put in your secret base. Secret bases, people.
Anyways, your top 4.
Well, that was. I think that was top 5, wasn't it?
And Anohana's up there too, because it made me cry manly tears.
All right. Yeah, I was sort of surprised you have Monica on your list, Kenny, because I thought you really liked
number 7's Monica.
Behind Boba.
I mean, I like it, but you kind of ruined
I
it
love
for me
Boba
with
too.
300-something pictures. And I liked it, but I never liked it that much. It was cool and all. But it's on my top 10.
All right, fair enough.
It's not Dragon Ball Z.
Andrew.
All right. So, what was it? I had a list for this.
Shoot. Really, what was your 5? That was Anohana. That's
Yeah,
right.
Anohana.
Yeah.
Got it.
Speaking of which, my 5th Anohana.
All right.
Because some manly tears, lots of feels, good show, good well-rounded characters. I liked it a lot.
Anohana's pretty good.
Number 4, which is the superior version to both of your childhood nostalgia trips.
Dragon Ball, the original. Then you're
Digimon.
wrong. You're wrong.
Digimon is just a better written
words.
show.
Fighting words.
than
It's
both
good.
Be
Pokemon.
fighting words.
Okay. Before anything else is said, this is what he has over you two. Goggles.
Okay, he's right.
There you go.
He
Hold
does
on.
have that.
Somebody else has goggles. Dragon Ball Z. Someone's got
They
got
didn't
goggles.
have a drawing pan.
You don't have the Ginyu
Yeah,
Force.
but you don't have
The
War
Ginyu
Greymon.
Force do not have goggles.
least
I'm
everything
sorry.
in Pokemon is
I'm
goggles.
afraid he
They're
beats
designed-
you on goggles alone.
All right. Yeah, you're
This
talking
is-
about Digimon Tamers,
This
right?
well, if I had to pick a season specifically, then yes, it'll be Tamers because because it's just such great writing, good, well-rounded characters. The final boss of that show is just a metaphor for depression and fighting it. There's
Is it sad
permadeath. There's Beelzebubmon is one of the best written characters I've seen in most things. Like he's got a full character arc that makes sense as he goes about, and you just feel genuinely bad for him.
Then they beat.
Which maybe that
So I
should
take
be
it it's
that's
the
a podcast
Japanese
idea.
version
We
of
should do a
Tamers.
Digimon versus Pokemon thing and get like
Pokemon's better.
you two versus me and Pete. And
Well, we'd win.
Well,
See,
I,
like
it out.
I like Digimon, but it wasn't my childhood.
I'm afraid when
so
you get
I
to
don't have
anime,
experience
Digimon was
'cause
more
I-
made
I'll-
as an
Unless
anime.
I've seen both of them equally, I can't actually judge. So it wouldn't be right.
well,
Yeah, 'cause I like them both
Works
pretty much
out.
equally.
We have both seasons 1 and 3, the good ones.
Well, I will
on
say
DVD.
You're all you're talking about Digimon does make me want to watch Tamers because I've heard
Tamers
Tamers
is
is good.
fantastic.
I mean, I've always wanted to see it. You're right, because I had Digimon toys and I liked it. I just never got as into it because Pokemon was
Tamers
my
is
first
fantastic. Pete has all of it on DVD.
But
so.
do they have a frying pan that turns into a drying pan? I didn't
No,
think so.
but I'm thinking
Well,
there was a
Pokemon have goggles. I didn't
Your
think
argument's
so.
invalid. All right.
anyway.
There is no
all right,
goggles.
number 3.
Number 3. Well, I gotta go with Attack on Titan because it's good. There's a lot of good writing. I like the characters. That scene when they brought Aaron when they were going back through the city after they came back from the mission and it was a failure and Aaron was sitting there and he's looking out in the crowd and they're yelling at him like, why didn't you accomplish anything? And he sees the 2 little kids that are
they're
just
like,
like him and Bikusa and I'm like, no, that right there was
That's
That is
why you
not
perfect.
do it.
okay.
That
That
is-
is not okay.
That is the best. That was just like
Insert
no,
all the
you're
spoilers
perfect.
here. That's why I love that show.
Yeah.
It was
Yes,
great.
let's try to keep it mostly spoiler free.
Dragon Ball Z,
that
no
was not a
promises.
Spoiler. Everyone.
No, I'm not saying that you spoiled Attack on Titan with what you're just saying. I'm just saying in general, let's try not to spoil any anime because
Yes.
we
Aaron's
want to
a
have
Titan.
let
And then-
most people talk.
And then
Ooh, it's out! It's out!
Thanks, Clara.
You're welcome.
Goku goes Super Saiyan.
Number 2.
And anyway, number 2, Madoka Magica. Because
Nice.
it's fantastic.
I can approve.
It's just, and it's probably the best written anime I've ever seen. There's a lot of symbolism. The character development is subtle.
Shut up.
It's definitely moved up way farther than last time I was doing the top 10 list. Because it wasn't even on my top 3, but now it deserves it because it is fantastic. And then number 1, because I can't not have it, Gurren Lagann.
Gurren Lagann.
Because
I forgot about that one. I knew I forgot a show.
are the
Hello,
best.
darkness, my old friend.
You,
Yeah, there's not enough in top 5 for 5.
well, Gurren Lagann should pierce through all
That's my
5
number
of them.
6.
Gurren Lagann should
Wait,
pierce
you-
straight through.
you-
Joker
Change-
can go higher up.
You've changed your list like 5
I
times.
forgot I watch shows, okay?
Shows how much you care
Gurren
about them.
Lagann
Enough.
Because
is
you haven't even seen Gurren Lagann, the TV show. You just saw the movies.
I saw up to episode 8 when he died.
the movies. Well, the movies are fantastic too, but the show is.
You didn't say who.
The characters are actually good. They get surprisingly well written in the second arc, and let's
then
face
drills.
it.
All the
Let's face
drills.
it. I'm ruined forever on fight scenes because
He
of that.
does pierce the
It's
heavens.
true.
He
with
does
his
pierce the
drill.
heavens.
Mark
He
was
throws
quoting
galaxies
Gurren
at
Lagann to
things.
me on the
and-
whole way down
Spoiler
to lunch.
alert.
Isn't it the worst?
Galaxies are thrown,
Galaxies are thrown, which makes our main character technically worse than Hitler.
but also some kind of
Except
god.
It's in a super spiral universe with all its given form, so they're not real galaxies.
Also,
so you don't have to
he's-
worry about that.
Also,
He does
I don't.
no,
Well,
I
Galaxy
think it's funner to
shurikens.
consider that they are.
Like,
Also-
hence the name Galaxy Shurikens.
My main problem with that is: are you going to tell a man who threw galaxies that, hey, you're a bad person?
You can when he gives it all up in the end.
I think he gives back if he tries.
The ending made me so angry.
I'd rather be a baker.
Oh yeah, spoilers.
Clara likes her happy
He
ending.
I
Gandalf
love
this
my
way.
happy
He went to
endings.
go be Gandalf. So,
But he spread flowers.
See, I don't know why I expect happy endings with anime. I really don't, but I am always really pleasantly surprised when they happen.
Dragon Ball Z is
That's
pretty
why
happy.
Clannad destroyed me so much. I was like, this is how it ends, folks.
Yes.
This is all my
This
depression.
is the end.
What if
Sadness by
Clannad had
Void.
ended at episode 21?
I would have lost it. I would have actually lost it forever.
Probably.
Sadness
all right.
Anyways, Tristan.
This will probably fluctuate as I'm telling it, but let's see. Number 5. I think for number 5, I'm going to go with the Big O.
All right. Good choice.
That's an
Yeah,
anime.
the Big O. It's I gotta say it. A lot of what sells it for me is just the sheer awesomeness of that mecha design. Big, black, heavy metal, large arms with pistons in them, a giant frickin' laser shot from the head. it is all beautiful.
They always look so awkward to me, though, because he's like, large arms.
Large arms? I don't know. I
makes
mean,
it
it's one of the
distinctive.
robots
Yeah.
that actually it moves with the weight that it looks. It's not doing any
Which
high
I can
flying
respect that. No,
action.
I like the show. I'm just saying, the first time I saw it, I'm like, this looks so awkward.
I've never seen.
Yeah,
It's
but
not bad.
and the story, I guess, like when I first went through, it's a story you talk about.
It's a story. So
It's a story you talk about. Like
story.
there is something to discuss here. I think it probably would have benefited from a third season, but for what we got, I'm not
was a thing.
disappointed. Good noir action and whatnot. All right, number 4. Let me bring it up.
Bobo.
Boop, boop, boop.
Oh, he has it listed.
Actually,
down.
yes,
Why not?
Bobobo.
Really?
Because
Yes.
none of you did it.
Well,
I'm
still-
disappointed.
No, I want the top 10.
I love
Kenny-
Bobo, but it's a silly choice.
Yeah, it's
like
not my top
as
5.
silly as it is and how much I love it, it's not one of my I
Yeah.
would watch it forever.
on
Well,
top
what
10.
sells it for me is especially its English dub and
The English dub was actually
It's
pretty well done.
brilliant.
well,
yeah.
yes, exactly it. You're working with a lot of Japanese wordplay and puns right now, which does not always translate into American.
really doesn't.
And it
humor
still made me
at all.
laugh. That's the show that's made me laugh the hardest to this
Well,
day.
yeah, like
More than
to
Nietzsche
get-
Joe?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
To its credit, it is a very like even Bobobo. Bobobo's pretty much going for those hardened black cops in all those B movies back in the day, and his tone of voice and whatnot. And like they did a good job with that English dub. They got good
They
voice
really
actors
did.
to do it, good delivery, and so I think part of that is what brings it up for me. That I was able to take such nonsense as Japanese humor and get a good dub out of it, and still make it enjoyable
And
to
get
the
some
end.
chuckles.
And
There you
keep
go.
its plot, if you want to call it that, still pretty much
Plot.
Something of a
intact.
plot.
It had a
There's
plot.
a plot episode like after like
There's a
episode
plot
25.
Where's
somewhere.
your and stuff?
Somewhere.
I stopped watching
All right.
Number
The Tower.
3. Number 3 is going to be Excel World. I know you probably expected that to be higher, but honestly, it's
Excel
just a show that I hadn't enjoyed a show like that in a long time, and I think it really stuck
Yeah.
with me.
It's on my watch list for sure.
Well, yeah, I have some problems with how it's advertised and what's not, because when you see the advertisements and everything, all you really see are the girls doing girl things and looking pretty and whatnot. But the true soul of the
Ladies.
show is within, within the game that they play. It's within the game that they play and the avatars that they use. Those are the parts of the show that are done really well. But they focus more on the human forms instead of the... Like, if you were advertising Mega Man Battle Network EXE, would you advertise all of the human characters? Or would you advertise all the badass Navis and all their giant fists and guns?
Neither.
Right.
Like, it's kind of the opposite with Excel World. Neither? Okay.
Yeah, I just want to be that guy
I see
that
what you're going.
instigates.
Number 2.
Instigate fights.
I'm getting mixed up here. What would number 2 be between the two of these?
Dragon Ball Z. You brought me in here to talk about it, okay? You said come defend Dragon Ball Z. That's what I'm doing.
I wanted to bring you in because I knew it'd create good conversation and because Matt
Dragon
quit
Ball
on
Z!
us. So.
Also because Matt.
All
quit.
right,
Mostly because
um,
Matt.
yeah.
Number
That's a
2.
weenie.
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
Number 2, I'm going to go with Bakemonogatari. Like the entire series released thus far.
Oh, so as in like Nisei Monogatari, like all
Oh, I
those
totally forgot.
spin-offs.
Yeah, Bakemono,
I've never
Nisemono,
heard of
Season 2, just the series. Like, it's usually not my cup of tea, this harem stuff, but this is a show that has managed to oddly put its plot aside and instead show its characters talking about whatever. And that's to its benefit as it shows every character in good depth.
Yeah.
And that works to its advantage.
It's interesting. I've heard a lot of good things about the Monogatari series, and I watched Bakemonogatari first episode. It's
the first
visually
2 episodes are
it's
weird.
visually it's stunning. It was extremely confusing. Like I'm not really invested in anything.
It's definitely not standard, but when you get like season 2 was pretty awesome as it kind of showed me exactly what risks they were willing to take. This is something you would not see in a harem show. They write a character off.
Oh,
Like,
they
yeah,
went
they
there.
write it off.
They took
Would
the
you see
risk.
that in any other kind of harem comedy show like
Perhaps
this?
not.
No,
Maybe.
not at all.
Depends
And
if
it's
they're
written
edgy.
off well. Like you did not see this coming.
Like, did they get, like, tripped and never get up?
then like the final part of season 2, basically they have the entire. There's several parts in this series where the main character is not the focal point, where it's narrated from someone else's point of view, from one of the girls' point of views, from an antagonist's point of view. You see different point of views and different characters interacting through this going. How non-standard it all approaches its genre is spectacular to
All
me.
right, and number 1.
Number 1,
Ava.
No. He's not as big of an Ava fan as Matt.
Well, I think Ava definitely has its place, but it's not my number 1.
What is your number 1 then?
Number 1, Shingeki Robo.
All right, you're a big robot fan.
Yeah, I'm a big robot guy, and honestly, while I guess it is kind of a do your homework sort of thing. If you go in blind, then you might be a little confused. But just the sheer amount of testosterone bursting from all of these fight scenes and the crazy feats at which it grows. I enjoy Shin Robo. I enjoy it more than Gurren Lagann. Heresy,
like-
I know. But
You like robot shows, right?
Yeah, robot shows.
What about Gundam?
Gundam. I haven't watched much Gundam. Gundam's more into
Because
real
that was
robots.
my whole childhood watching.
Yeah.
What is it?
G Gundam.
G Gundam I like, but I
J
watched,
Gundam is awesome.
Well, my favorite one's still crap. I forgot what it's called. Gundam Wing. That's the one I grew up on.
Yeah.
Because I like how Gundam Wing addressed like what did the soldiers do after war.
Right.
Honestly,
Nothing.
this
Cool.
list is subject to change, but those are probably the 5 that, at this time, impact me the most.
Now have you seen Bebop or Steins Gate?
I have seen Steins Gate. Steins Gate would probably be number 6. Give it time; it'll probably fluctuate a little higher. But
And you've never seen Bebop?
I've never seen Bebop all the way through.
Shame.
Yeah, I know.
For
I'm a
shame.
shameful peon, but you know what? Everyone's singing its praises like it's the best untouchable thing ever.
But it
doesn't
is.
exactly make me want to watch it anymore.
You're not wrong though. It is
Well,
the best
I
untouchable thing
don't
ever.
want to watch it and be disappointed.
Well, you'll love it
Yeah.
even more when you watch it. You'll be like,
Yeah.
oh my god, this is better than I could have ever hoped.
Yeah, well, there's definitely a hype factor with Bebop, but
'Cause it
it's
deserves
it still holds up remarkably well for its
Yeah,
time and
it's
everything.
timeless.
It's
Music. Oh.
Part of it is putting the time aside to do it, which
Right.
time is not what we all have.
Yeah, here at
Is
college.
this where the gauntlet begins?
Well, before that, I just want to preface this. This is something I want to mention earlier. Just to compare this to what we have for last year, because we'll talk about like last year's list, for which it was myself, Mark, Andrew, Kenny, and Matt. You know, the 5 of us came up with this top 10 list last year, and our top 10 at that time was number 10, Code Geass, number 9, DBZ, number 8, One Piece, number 7, Fate Zero, number 6, Death Note, number 5, Madoka, number 4, Trigun, number 3, Full Alchemist Brotherhood, number 2, Cowboy Bebop, and number 1, Gurren Lagann. So
It
that's
was
what we
unanimous.
had.
Number
I didn't
one,
even seen it yet.
Gurren Lagann.
I'd never
Yep.
seen it. And I voted for
Yeah,
it.
between me, Mark, and well,
Yeah.
You guys convinced me. I'd never seen it. You're like, do it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Sword Arts
Online? was really
it's
between-
obviously the greatest anime to ever exist in this universe or any other.
me and Mark are huge Gurren Lagann fans, so we
Yeah.
really pushed that one through.
Yeah, those two, and then they convinced Kenny. So that's
Your
how
fighting
that got
spirit
through.
just bore through.
It did.
Okay, so yeah, as far as ones that we should like immediately start like saying like, okay, this will probably like be on the list.
Madoka.
DBZ number 10. Hold that spot. Can I reserve that spot?
No.
If I could,
I'm
if
here
I
to
could give
fight
my
that
honest
off.
opinion, I don't think we'll avoid putting Ava on this one.
But no one even mentioned Ava.
That's
No
my
one mentioned
favorite.
Ava.
It was his
Oh,
top.
that's true.
Way
Sorry.
to
It
diss
was-
me, Alex.
Well,
Sorry,
no
I
one
forgot.
mentioned, just because it's not on our top 10 doesn't mean we can't really acknowledge what it does. And even if you liked it, hated it, it created a lot of controversy
It didn't
for
help
what it
revolutionize
did.
I
the
actually have
field,
to watch
man.
this.
This is something I did want to mention though, because to clarify,
Yep.
ha ha ha.
I hate that word so much.
You're welcome. You know,
hate
this
that
is
word.
not a top 10 list like based off of like most like historically significant anime or anything like that. Because if it was, then we'd have a lot of things like DBZ, like Haruhi, like
I've
something-
never watched Haruhi Suzumiya. I've never.
I think it's a stretch to
good.
say
Is that the
Haruhi
one where they do things?
historically
It did.
significant.
I mean, it had a huge impact on the
I learned to
industry.
dance.
I guess so.
But
never
you know,
watched it.
things like Gundam, you know, Cowboy Bebop, like
Gundam.
basically we would have like historically important anime like Ava, like we'd have a different list basically. This isn't about like what was historically significant or anything like that. This is just our favorites basically. You know, the anime we think are the best
Circle
or
jerk,
whatever.
gotcha.
Basically, a little bit.
Right.
So, I guess to start with, could we concede some things like?
Number 1, Clannad.
I'll
Well,
say
I wanna
Cowboy
get-
Bebop.
I wanna get
Honestly,
Clannad
the
on
problem
the
is
list.
some of the more touchy-feely ones that you guys saw, Clannad and Ohana, I have not seen those.
I haven't seen him either. I haven't
Right.
heard of half the
So
animes you guys
I'm
mentioned,
like,
honestly.
Well,
that's
alright.
going to be a hard
They're
sell for me.
gorgeous.
Right.
I will fight for this. Cowboy Bebop is very comfortable at number 2, and I'll fight for it to stay there.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
I definitely think we could say
I know,
like
I'm definitely a naysayer on this one because I've just heard too much good things about it. Too much for it to
Didn't
be
believe
good
it. Just
true.
look at that. Watch the first
Yeah,
episode.
but
Oh,
you have-
no,
my
it's
God.
good.
yeah, you haven't actually seen any of the show.
Well,
so.
yeah, I know. But to be fair, how much of my list have you seen?
I haven't
True.
even
You know,
heard
we
So,
do have
like,
some.
This is going to be a
things
tough
there.
sell for some of us simply that because we haven't seen it.
I'm good
Honestly,
at drawing.
if DBZ gets on 10, I'll just stop talking. I don't care.
I'll give you
the rest.
DBZ.
Thank you,
No,
but I don't care.
no.
Whoa.
I'm here to fight that off because Digimon
Yeah.
deserves it.
Dude, the Digimon get 9. I don't care. I just want DBZ to be on the list. My goal is to get it on the list. I don't care where it
That's
ends
You know
up.
what? I'll back
As
you
long
up,
as
Kenneth.
Digimon-
DBZ deserves to be on this list.
I'll help
It
defend whatever you
certainly-
want. Then Big O is getting
There's
on
like
there.
not a
Alright,
plot.
cool.
There was an entire season of that show was just one fight.
In
Yeah.
my defense, though, I wanted it as 10 last time. You guys put it to 9.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
because
your
of the
guys'
Code
fault.
Geass.
Yeah,
or
that was
High
your
School
guys'
Host
fault.
argument.
Code Geass totally deserves
Well,
to be
if
over TBC.
so, should we fight for Dragon Ball's right to be on the list then?
Well, fine,
fine with
because well, basically what I would say with DBZ though is like we are making a list of what we consider to be the top 10 anime of all time. And I'm not denying that DBZ is a great show because I really enjoyed it. You know, it's really like, you know, the penultimate of shonen anime, you know, sort of thing. But does its quality really hold up, like
No.
compared to something that like Madoka, like Fate Zero, like
No.
any of the other things we've
diving more
mentioned?
into it, like if we're talking about like Dragon Ball Z, like as a whole for the series, Dragon Ball I think is a brilliantly done anime. Like it's really well done. It helped spawn Dragon Ball Z and influence like One Piece and a lot of other shows being like shonen. It helped a lot of the other actiony shows be what they are today, and was a big steeple in anime history coming over to the United States and being a big show we all saw in our childhood. And while the the writing and other things may not have held up as well, it's still just the epic fights you remember and a lot of the cool things we reference Dragon Ball Z a lot. So it's a big part of what we remember and like have metaphors towards other
I mean,
anime.
like 2
I'm
years
going
ago,
to-
the fight with like when Chaozu and Tien, spoilers, even though not really, died. I actually, even though I hadn't seen a whole lot of Dragon, I still cried because I was like, I don't know these characters, but they're dying, they're best friends, and I'm crying now. And
Well,
it still
to be fair, that's
impacted
before
me.
dying wasn't a novelty.
Yeah.
See, no,
Yeah.
still,
But-
it's like the fact that it still impacted me, and I wasn't a huge fan. So I mean, that's saying something.
I tend to give animes a little bit benefit of the doubts, except for Sword Arts. But with Dragon Ball Z, I definitely like Dragon Ball was definitely very solid. The first parts of Dragon Ball Z were solid.
Yeah, I'm
It starts-
talking up till Cell Saga. After that point, I really didn't care as
Well,
much.
yeah, like
Well,
it
but
tends-
no, see, you can't do that. You can't say like, oh, well, we just don't include the bad stuff. Like you have to include
No,
the
I mean, I
filler
still-
arcs.
I'm saying my favorite part of it is that.
Unfortunately, while Boo Saga is certainly continuity-wise the most out of place, was it bad?
I still
No.
enjoyed it. I'm not
Yeah,
saying I
we
didn't
still
enjoy it.
liked
I'm saying
it.
my favorite.
And when
was
you
up to
can say
point.
that the worst arc is still really enjoyable, I think that stands for
And one
itself.
thing I
Yeah.
really, really like is that it ages. Like the character's age is not just stuck in time forever. They've actually
there's a
gone
lot of
through
time
a
skips,
lot.
actually.
There are a lot of
A
time
lot of Gohan grows up. I mean, we get to see that transition that you don't see in a whole lot of
Same,
anime because it's
Yeah.
either like 13 episodes or everyone dies.
What
Yeah.
people
So-
remember, and I think what you're remembering is basically a parody of what the series is, but you kind of don't read between the lines. A lot of this stuff is addressed, and as ridiculous as it is, it does build a world that does stand
Oh
up.
no, I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's good. I'm just
Well, yeah, I know,
questioning
but
whether.
I think you're selling it as like you only remember this isn't even my final form. Well, that what is? Wait 50 episodes for it to
And I
happen.
admit, it does drag on a lot, but at the same time, it was when you actually got the final fight. When that thing happened, it was so much more rewarding. Like I've talked about it in another podcast. My favorite scene from any anime is still when Gohan took down Cell. That was the most powerful scene I've ever seen.
Okay, see,
because as a
and it
kid, that
has a lot
got
of
me.
themes
Saw
like
that.
inheritance.
It's so
and
good.
whatnot.
Let's let Andrew talk.
I was gonna make the counter argument to this DBZ love train here.
It was about
My problems with DBZ, Numer, and the who's the main character of DBZ?
See, there's a bunch of main characters.
No, who's the main character?
Other than
Goku.
Goku. It is Goku.
Okay, now how much of Goku was actually in the series, and how
When he
much
wasn't
of it
recovering?
was really just, oh, I'm over here doing nothing because I'm just a plot device and not a character that gets to come in and cleans up when everybody else gets their butt kicked because Vegeta, Piccolo, and everybody else is incompetent.
Well, this
They
is
died,
thing.
though.
He has
This-
a point.
this kind of goes into the original writing of it. When something is popular in Shonen Jump, if you try to wrap it up, the writers will tell you to keep going. At the end of the Cell Saga, there was definitely an inheritance thing going on with Goku passing on Protector of Earth to Gohan.
No,
The Buu Saga kind of mucks that up because they told him to keep writing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is,
you
he
can't-
tried to kill off Goku a few times to end
You can't
it.
say that the writing certainly didn't try to pass things on to another character.
I'm
Well,
not saying
I don't-
that they didn't, but
And I'm not sure. I don't think Toriyama was forced to keep going, but he
No,
was definitely
kind
pressured
of.
to do it both by the fans and by his bosses. I'm sure.
I call that pressure. Like he definitely was forced
Yeah.
to write more. He rolled with the punches, but you can tell by Buu Saga that this story has gone.
Kind
on
of just,
an
no,
arc
the
too
thing is,
long.
I've read. I mean, he did every time Goku died, like past Cell Saga, he was trying to end it, saying this is a good place to stop. We're done with Goku's story at least. Like this is it. But they're like, you should keep going. So that's why it started dipping a lot later on because he was like, God, I'm done with this. And they're like,
I don't like Goku anymore. I got Gohan. You like Gohan?
Yeah, like no,
Okay.
he's
Yeah.
great, but he gets
Yeah,
ridiculous.
see, because that's my complaint with DBZ, as I was sort of saying earlier, is just that it does drag on, like, and not even like because I really like the manga of DBZ, like I've read through the
manga is
manga a
actually
lot,
really
I
well
read
done.
the
and the
first
nice thing about the manga is that like it doesn't have any of the filler or the slowdown that the anime has, because not only does the anime have the filler arcs itself, but also just has the filler in general where it stretches out these episodes, just to save on animation,
Yeah.
and make the fights last longer. So that's why it's a kind of a slogfest to go through the whole thing. Like, could you really call something that's a pain to sit through. One of the top 10
See,
anime
well-
of all time.
See, that was
Well,
we're
wait,
kids,
wait.
so we don't
Are we
think of it like
including
that.
are we including the abridged DBZ Kai?
No.
No, I'm saying DBZ Kai was great because it did help cut out that. But I'm just talking about the original. Obviously, you can't do
All right.
both. But Dragon Ball
Just
Z
to-
Kai did do a
just to
good job
clarify.
of like if you can just if we can look at that for a second. Dragon Ball Z Kai, excuse me. Without all the filler, it's a really solid anime then because it has all the sweet things without the filler, and it can still be fantastic.
I
but-
don't know. I watched some of Kai when it was on TV. It was still slow, not as slow as DBZ.
They did streamline. It looked really pretty too.
It looked pretty, yeah. They upped up the visuals a lot, obviously. But I'm just saying, DBZ is a great anime, historically significant. It's not one of the top 10 anime of all time. That's what I'm arguing.
I
mean,
think it is.
I'm with Alex on this one.
I think
so.
it's number 10.
Actually,
All right.
Clara, I
I
don't
would
know.
at least
I
give
think
it a
you're
number
the
10.
deciding.
It's aged, but I still think there is still something.
Yeah,
there
because
there.
you brought up, you just said like, oh, we didn't notice that when we were kids, and that's true. Like when I was a kid, I didn't care about like all this criticism I'm giving it. I just enjoyed it because it was DBZ, it was awesome action, But I'm looking at this now as a 20-year-old, more critical viewer of things, and while I still enjoy DBZ, and it has its place, it doesn't hold up to like some of the things I listed as like some of my favorites, like as far as like
Well,
having a really nice storytelling.
If we go by
and
your
everything.
favorites and all it has is storytelling and plot and everything, then there are some shows that are still great that stand no chance at all because
Yeah.
they're comedy based or something like that. I'm not going to sell it just because it doesn't have the amount of storytelling that anme today demands to
that
be a
means
great blockbuster.
Even Gurren Lagann we could add that list thing because that's over the
Yeah.
top of ridiculous.
Oh no, and I'm not,
I'm
not saying like I have like all these serious anime in my top. Like
that's-
Clannad has a ton of jokes. I have
It's
Gurren
great.
Lagann. Gurren Lagann's my number 6. I have Nichijou at like number 14. Like I've got these. I like funny shows. I do find it sometimes hard to rank a comedy, even if I really enjoyed it, above like a really really good drama
I
because
get it,
drama
yeah.
is what gets
That makes
you
sense.
really narratively invested and emotional with the story. Those are the types of stories that I personally like the most.
Well, yeah, that's why Ava's my favorite because it's all like a psychological thriller thing as compared to Dragon Ball Z. But I guess my final argument for that before
Oh my
like
gosh, I totally forgot. I was gonna put on the list. Psychopaths.
oh that was really
oh,
good. Yeah.
Yeah, Psychopaths is really good.
Psychopaths
Next season.
needs to be on this list.
Oh, Claire's
All
got
right.
something to
Second.
fight for.
But I
All
mean,
right.
with
You
the
said
whole
psychological thriller. I was like, wait.
is that one I was
Okay.
in top 10. That's a stellar show.
Psychopaths.
We're
Okay,
watching.
McNulty's final arguments.
But with the whole filler arc, I understand it did drag for all the fillers. It did drag for a while, but at the same time, some things that the manga didn't have and it was able to expand on was in some cases, some character development and some of the lesser characters. While they were really stalling for Goku, you're not wrong. They got to pull some pretty incredible stuff that they may not have otherwise. So it helped me like them more, seeing them longer. Sometimes I got irritated, but it made me like the show more.
Okay, how about this? Let's put down DBZ at the number 10 spot for temporarily right now. We'll come up with we'll debate on
fine
our
with that.
other things, and then we'll come back to it and be like, okay, so is there another show that we've been debating about that we want
Yeah.
more than DBZ? Because
See, again-
she just brought up Psychopaths. There's lots
Psychopaths.
of good shows that we want to get on
Psychopaths.
here.
DBZ, while is one of my favorites, does not deserve to be above 10. I agree. 10 is where I cut it off at, but anything else, I agree that anything else would be high.
Okay,
All right.
good.
All right, that's fine.
All right, as far as anime, I think that we can know is going to be on this list. Just looking at our list from
Madoka.
last year, I think we could say Cowboy Bebop, Brotherhood, Madoka, for sure.
I haven't seen
I fight
Brotherhood,
Madoka.
but
I saw the end of Brotherhood.
Well,
see, I watched 5
okay, fine.
episodes of Full Metal
What do
Alchemist
you
and
have
had to
against
stop, so,
Madoka?
no.
I don't really have
His
anything
fuse died,
against
and I was like,
Madoka, but to give it a top 10 on this list, I understand it's very well liked amongst this certain crowd, and I liked it too.
It's
But,
well liked among lots of anime fans love it.
Yeah,
it's one of the biggest
lots
shows
of anime
of
fans
2011.
love it, but I'm going to cite this. I'm going to cite this a lot. The hype train.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say Madoka was a nice, small 12-episode product.
13.
13?
Yeah.
Was it
13?
No, it's
Okay.
12.
I lied to you all.
Well,
I
okay,
know.
you are on my hit list. It was a nice,
No.
it was a nice
I'll take
12-episode series, well written. It had an intro, it had a conclusion, it did what it needed to do, it left. And honestly, I think the films might be a little too much. The first 3 films are just a recap.
Well,
seems
the first
like a
2 films are just a
Third
recap.
one continues the story.
third one's
Yeah.
the new one.
The third
And it
one's the new
hurts
one.
so much.
It's amazing.
It does.
I
so good.
just for what it does good things. But top 10 anime of all time, I definitely think there are better things here to fill.
We're talking
Okay.
about Madoka. I mean, honestly, before I even knew there's a hype train, Alex just told me to watch it for a podcast, and going into it, I loved it. Just the way, the story, the animation, and just the feels by episode 3 is just beautifully well done. I've never felt so attached to characters in 3 episodes.
But let
Yeah.
me propose this: if we gave it 24 episodes, would it still be as tight?
Well, no, but that's why it's
Yeah,
a 12
no.
episode series. It told the story it needed to tell in 12. It didn't need to be longer. It didn't need to be shorter.
Which is really
See,
impressive.
That's
Angel
fine.
Beats, which could have used 24
Yes,
episodes.
Angel Beats could have
Madoka,
used more.
I don't think would
Yeah,
have been
yeah, it
worked
could've.
because it's got in general, it's got that Homura is trying to fight against time. And then we're also fighting against time because the series is really short. So we have to get so much done in those 12 episodes, but it doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel like you left things out. Everything gets touched upon. And you get to understand literally every character's motivations and backstories. There's not like one character, I mean, besides Mommy, but even then, like, you understood why she did everything she did. And you knew that she was also very insecure, even though she put on a really brave face. So even though it was 12 episodes, you got all the characters that you fell in love with. You knew everything about them, and the movie that I saw, Rebellion, blew my mind, and I'm still having emotions from that because
the
it just
feels.
hurts so much.
Yeah,
I
that
feel like
was
they
crazy.
did enough, and they've done like above and beyond what they could have done in 12 episodes because I got really attached and I had a lot of emotions and manly tears were shed.
Yeah. Let's say this, because it sounds like all four of us are for Monica, so we outvote
Sneaky.
Tristan's one opposing argument. However, I will say you have, you had your 5 shows, like a lot of them I'll admit I haven't seen.
No.
But because of that, I want to give you at least like, so you can at least have like one show, like whichever one you choose of your 5, like one show that you can say for sure, like this is on our top 10. So you at least have like
Don't let
one
him
thing
just
that
give
you
it to
really
you.
love represented on the list. Because
give
I
me a
don't want to have the things you love put off just because the rest of us haven't seen it,
Yeah.
Don't give in. It's
So-
a pity vote. Fight for all of yours. I'll help defend them.
Okay, so we got.
Well, it's hard to fight
Bebop.
for it if you guys haven't seen it. But
Yeah.
I guess if I,
I made Gurren Lagann my favorite last time, and I've never even seen it.
yeah.
I'll go with
Yeah.
you.
I guess. Let me
I mean,
take
Big
a
O
look.
I can defend. That one I do know.
Well, yeah. Like I would. Who here's seen Big O? Raise your hand.
I've seen some of Big
All
O.
right, we got 3. I think Big O's got a shot. Shin Getter doesn't have a shot, but that'll be a tough sell.
That's how I feel with
all the-
Bontora, so.
We've seen Bobobo.
Boop, boop.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So that leaves Bakemono and Excel World for me to sell to you guys.
Excel World sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I've heard good things about Excel World, and I know Bakemonogatari is crazy and weird, but good. From what I've heard.
Well, certainly I don't think it needs to be on the list because I think its popularity has already spoken for itself. On the top selling list I saw, it was number 3.
Wow, really?
This was under Ava and Gundam. So honestly, I think Bakemono's success speaks for itself. Even if you're not into it, there's people who are, and they've spoken.
Yeah, Shaft's really been kicking out of the park in the recent years because
Well,
they have
yeah.
Madoka and Bakemonogatari.
Well, to be fair, it has a good groundwork. Like the writer,
Oh, no, I've-
the writer clearly knew what he was doing.
No, I've heard he's
and
pretty
writers.
amazing.
I'm going to be talking about writers, especially with Excel World.
Right.
Well, Excel World.
I think I'll try to sell.
ACCEL.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. Okay. Most of the time when I say when I said it around Jeremy all that time, he thought I was talking about Excel Saga.
Yeah,
which
no, that's
is a
something
completely different.
That's
beast.
something else.
Yeah, I think I'll try to sell Excel World, but we'll talk about the other stuff first.
Okay, question. Last year we had Gurren Lagann as our number 1 favorite anime, and while I don't think it should be number 1,
Disagree.
Yeah, it's not.
I would like it on the list. Like it's in my top 10 personally. So I don't know. I think me and
As
Andrew
far
are
as-
both
I
pro
will,
Gurren Lagann.
I will fight for that.
Clara, Kenny, what are your guys' thoughts on having Gurren
Gurren
Lagann
Lagann?
somewhere on the list?
It can be on the list, but I haven't seen it, and it actually physically kills me every time I look at it.
I absolutely love the show. I'll defend it to the end.
Okay,
I
so we
like
got-
it.
Like,
Again,
I feel
hype
like if
train.
I
I think there's better
agree to
robot
like it,
shows
it'll
out there.
kill me.
Right. Okay, so we got 3 votes for Gurren Lagann right now. So right now we've got 4 anime for sure: Gurren Lagann, Madoka, Brotherhood, Bebop. DBZ sitting at sort of a maybe number
Honorary
10
mention.
right
I at least
now.
want an
Why
honorary
not?
mention.
Are
if I
those
get-
really for sure?
I think
I
one
feel
that
like that
def-
already robs us of 6 spots, 4 spots.
Well, we have to come up with some like definitive ones. Like these are the ones that were in our list from last year. We're
It's
in
just
like
every
the top.
other list I've heard.
Well, and for good
That's what we
reason. We're not
like.
trying to be like artsy, like choose. Oh, let's make a list of the top 10 that no one's ever heard of before.
Well, no,
I can do
but
that.
I would like the end
From
result
that.
to be something surprising.
Excel
Honestly,
World sounds cool. I read
well,
its
no,
synopsis.
honestly, like some of these series, I kind of think we should admit
talking to your microphone.
I think we should admit right off the bat because they have already claimed their success and
See, they're
shown.
popular for a reason.
Yeah, I know they're popular for a reason. So do they need to be on a top 10 to show that they're
Yes.
good?
Yes,
Yeah.
this
Yes,
isn't like
top
us trying to
10.
say like, these are top 10 anime, that you should go check out, that you've like never heard of before or whatever.
what
No,
This
I'm
is
not
Why?
trying to make it hipster cast. I'm saying people already
can do
know
that.
these are good. So what are we gaining from putting it in the top 10?
we're not gating anything. We're just saying these are our favorites.
We're not doing this
we're not-
professionally.
Yeah, we're not doing it
Well-
for any gain of any sort. It's just these are our favorites, and this is why we think they're our favorites. It doesn't matter if they're popular, if they're not.
Jeez,
It's just
don't make
our
it weird.
favorites. That's how I sort of look at it,
Make
anyways.
it weird.
So
Let's see.
one that we have a lot in common is Attack on Titan, which
Yep,
is a
that
new
deserves to be
edition.
on it.
Yes.
Yes, we had-
Because that was a
See,
new
it was
watch.
it was on your it was on
on mine.
Andrew's, it was on Kenny's, and it was on yours, right, Clara? Okay, so it was on 3 people's list. Personally, I have Attack on Titan number 11, like just off my top 10.
Still one of the best animes ever.
It's so pretty.
The animation quality is stupid.
Animation
It's pr-
quality is
okay.
super.
I'm gonna give it pretty good action scenes, but I think character development is where it kind of starts trailing off.
It
I read
actually
the manga.
it does
I
have
loved it.
some.
It has good ones, but
Some
there's
good
points
ones.
where it still trails off for me.
No,
There are
the
points.
pacing is definitely an issue in Attack on Titan. There can be no doubt.
I'll
of
put it
that.
like this. This is the only show. This has never happened to me before, other than Sherlock. It's my favorite show. But anime-wise, it's never happened before where there's a part in the series where a character's about to die, and I've never actually physically yelled at a show, and I did. They lived. Spoiler. But still.
I'm also gonna give it this BS assholes. Like I give them that they explain it later, but Eren becoming a Titan came way
Spoiler.
too abruptly. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Well, I mean,
spoiler.
in the-
but it
He
needs to be
dies.
addressed.
Well-
some of its stuff comes right the hell out of nowhere.
I don't know. I
That's
wouldn't
nice. It's a shock value.
I wouldn't say that was abrupt though, because they were hinting at it pretty hard in episode 2. Like I was sort of
No,
manga
uh,
builds it up too.
things together.
that episode progressed as though he had been dead, and then it's like, oh nope, he's a Titan now.
Well,
that-
that's
oh,
good
that's
because
a
he's
twist.
the main character.
That's
I mean,
I don't
Attack on-
like. It's
Attack on
not a
Titan-
good twist because it also goes in with the shonen power up trope.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, it's like sudden power out of almost nowhere.
Well, we were just talking about DBZ earlier, and you didn't bring up
That's
the
not
shonen
sudden power
there.
out of nowhere.
That helped
Yes,
make
it
I know.
is.
No,
Hey.
Have you
no.
seen
Okay,
Gohan?
here's what I'm going to say. Like people will give it this one.
Gohan.
It more comes from other shonen animes because in DBZ, every single power up he gets, you see his training beforehand. You see it addressed
Filler.
beforehand. Legendary Super Saiyan was something long before Goku became it. Dragon Ball Z is not guilty of the sudden shonen power up.
and helped make that a thing as well, being what it was.
Oh
You
yeah,
have
no.
to say that Gohan's thing was a little bit out of left field because he's 4.
He did headbutt Raditz and crack his chest, but still, that was awesome.
It's like, oh, this child's now superpowered, cool, and then it only works sometimes.
Well, see, what I liked about the Attack on Titan superpower thing is the fact that it shows just how stupidly mortal the characters are. That the main character just gets ate, like right. I'm sure he gets his power up, but he gets destroyed.
No,
in the
one of my
process.
favorite things about Attack on Titan is that it doesn't have these cheesy, like even super dramatic, like one-liners before people die. If you look at like almost every character's last words, it's either words of panic, concern, or just fear of everything around them. It's not like tell my sister I love her. It's like have you guys seen Erwin die?
Blank.
And so,
Or they're just dead.
or just whoever, or it's like Marco, where are you? I don't know, but it's like it's real. It's like people being scared. It's this hopeless situation that they're trying to find hope in, and that's what I like. And Eren being a Titan, even though he's really not that good at it right now, like he's still new, and it's not like he's a super. Like I would hate it more if he was like, "Oh, I've totally mastered this in episode 5," and it's like, no, he's stupid about it. The first time he goes into it, his head gets blasted off, and he sits there half the episode.
Whatever, I'll
life.
give this one up. I'm not going to argue you guys out of it.
It's definitely a master of cliffhangers and intensity, but it's got its
It does have its
downfalls,
issues,
too.
but
Oh,
I mean,
everything
it
does.
was really
I mean,
good. I
I've
like the
seen, like,
characters a
5
lot.
episodes. I read it all.
You're right. They do. They do have some issues, especially I feel-
Pacing, abruptness, some characters trail off a bit.
I mean, yeah, there was a slog in the middle of the attack on Trust, but I think after they got out of the city, it really
definitely
started to
picked up
pick
again.
up.
Harmonize
Okay.
with me, maggot.
All right. One I brought up earlier, but I think only Tristan's the only one here who has seen it, is Steins Gate. That's personally one of my
I mean, I've heard you
all-time
talk a lot
faves.
about it, so I'm interested to hear like.
Yeah,
what
I've
is,
only
like, what
heard
is it?
wonderful things.
It's on my to watch
It's about
list.
a guy who basically invents this time machine through a microwave and a phone. And he
Genius.
finds out a way to send text messages back in time, and
Oh.
shenanigans ensue.
So he doesn't send like people; it's just messages.
Right.
Yeah.
And it becomes
Oh.
this really dramatic like thing with lots of emotions and crazy stuff in the
Definitely,
second half.
I would have if I had to cite the good parts of Steins Gate. Experimentation, like there's no overarching goal here. They don't really hang something over your head and say there's a time limit here.
Yeah.
They give you plenty of time to. Most of it is going along with the characters, discovering what this thing does, how it's supposed to work, while the characters are also interacting with each other.
How long is the show? Is it
Just
just
24 episodes.
Oh, it's just
24
one season
episodes.
then. Oh, yeah.
And when it picks up, it certainly does pick up because the lack of something overarching over your head, like this big dramatic thing hanging over your head,
Yeah.
it becomes so much more abrupt when it does.
See, it's nice, though.
And it follows the Clannad sort of the Clannad path, where like the first half of the show, like plot things happen, like things are moving with the time travel, but it doesn't
all
really get
character
moving.
establishment.
It doesn't really get moving till the second half, but you don't really notice because the first half just makes these characters so likable, so that when the bad things do happen in the
It
second
hurts
half,
so
it
much
hurts a lot.
more.
Yeah.
Well, that's the best and worst formula because it hurts us.
Oh yes.
I will show you Clannad,
Oh,
and
yes.
it'll destroy you.
All right. So
I'll support Steins Gate place on it, but it does look like we'll need to sell it to the 3 people who have
Well,
It sounds great.
No,
I mean,
I'm fine with Steins.
I'm
I've
okay.
seen
I can't-
Alex
I'm not
has
gonna
showed
fight
me a
it.
little bit of it. I've seen like
I showed you the
AMVs.
first step.
I've only seen the one scene where that the girl guy
Yeah.
something like
Yeah, Matt showed us that.
That's
Yeah,
what I've seen.
Ruka's a dude.
yeah,
That's
that made me
Ruka.
laugh. So I'll go with that.
is a dude. Oh, and
is
it's
pretty
funny.
funny.
It does manage to
It is quite
throw in
funny.
genuine humor.
Now, do you want to pitch your?
I want to fight for Digimon.
He wants to fight for Digimon.
I'm
Usually
okay
it's
with that.
Tamers. Because Tamers, and I've even been watching it lately, so I can even cite specific things.
Actually, if
I'll
I could
agree with it if
interrupt,
you put
I have
Clannad
seen
on
the
the
first few
list.
episodes of Tamers.
Okay.
So
It was
I can back
good.
you up a
The
little
beginning was actually really good. There is a point in the middle of Tamers because it's like 50-something episodes. No, it's more than it's 50-something episodes.
Where it slows down.
There's a point in the middle where it is really slow and kind of sluggish, but that was like the only bad part of the series. It's probably about 10 to 15 episodes of just kind of roughness as it slogs on and they're walking around the digital world and they're trying to figure out what's going on and nobody knows what's going on. And then the plot picks up again. And Beelzemon comes out into the scene and he's like this. His character went from Impmon, which was this, poor little guy who got beat up by his, little kid human masters, and then all he ever wanted was to be able to finally fight, and win a fight ever in his life, like all the other Digimon that he watches. And then he gets his Digi-evolution into Beelzemon, and so in a very overt selling his souls to the devil.
If I could
has the
interrupt,
thing.
you're kind of giving me a summary and not really what makes it good.
I'm trying to figure out how to make this good.
But these are the same characters from the Goggles kid, right? Like,
well,
all
I mean,
the
there's
same-
different
well,
characters.
he's probably
every
talking about
Yeah.
the Japanese dub.
It does have what's his name, Terriermon, who's adorable.
Yay!
Yeah.
Terriermon is
So-
And
always
then
right.
he turns into a dog in armor with guns for hands.
Yeah.
Terriermon
And pants.
is worth it because Terriermon's always right. What really is
Terriermon's the
Terriermon's
cutest thing.
is it's the characters. The characters are so well written, surprisingly deep for a children's show. That's the thing about this is it catches you off guard because this is a show made for kids.
Like
And you're
that's what I like about Digimon over Pokemon is that Pokemon was very G-rated, and when it
Pokemon
got
was
even
very
in
G-rated.
the slightest bit intense, it's like, don't worry, kids, everything's okay. There aren't any bad guys. Where in Pokemon Special Adventures, the bad guys are real obvious, and there's a lot of danger always. And I wish it was an anime, but they would probably just ruin it anyways.
But-
Or
I like
Origins.
that. Okay, Origin was okay, but I don't. It was just rushed. It was just 4 episodes
Origin was
of
cool, though.
very much
It was
summary.
cool.
I think they probably could do more with it, but
Summed up my
okay.
favorite
I
game,
wish
so-
that they could have done something with Special Adventures. It would have been
well, anyway, Digimon. I will give this over Digimon. Digimon is more of a solid product than
It
the
is.
Pokemon
Yeah.
anime.
It is a
Well,
definitely
anime-wise,
better
oh,
written.
heck yes. Yeah.
Anime-wise.
I like the
Anime-wise,
Pokemon games
definitely.
a lot more than the anime.
I used to watch the Digimon show, and I legitimately enjoyed it. That's why I had the toys. I
Yeah.
loved it.
No, that's good.
I liked season 1 a lot of Digimon. I have not
Season 1
actually
is really
seen
good, too.
much of Tamers, but I've heard a lot of good things, and I saw Yezu Taka did these videos where she summarized it, so I sort of know what the plot is, and it does get extremely dark later on for a kids show.
It gets so dark, especially
Well-
once they kill off somebody, and then they deal with the real applications of killing somebody off, and this hero complex.
to put
and
it in
just all
context,
these metaphors.
It's
and,
written by the guy who also wrote Serial Experiments Lane. So,
Which I'm gonna
fun
watch.
fact.
I don't know. I can't really sell it as it's dark because you expect it to be a kids show because that's the American impression of it.
Yeah, I will say
I don't think that's a selling.
Your
point.
argument does seem to be sort of it's really, really good for a kids show,
Well, I mean-
and that's a good art. You have a good point
That's
there,
the audience, though.
right? And that is the audience, but we're not limiting ourselves to kids shows. Obviously, we have a lot of
Well,
adult
what I'm
shows
saying
on
is,
our
if it can
list.
still be this good to you, and it's geared toward being a kid show, that does mean something. It does hit home, even when we're older.
It
'cause
is.
ages
Like-
well.
Well,
It
part
really-
of me is that being a kids show is more of the stigma that was built up by especially the American dub of it. This is the Japanese dub, and the American dub of Tamers wasn't that good as far as I can tell. They definitely omitted a lot of the darker elements from the Japanese dub.
That's
If we
common
go
for,
in
like,
with the
any-
expectation that it is a kids show instead of the expectation that it is a good show.
Have you seen the actual? Have you seen the sub, like the original?
no, that's on my to-do list.
Because I was gonna say it's probably.
Yeah,
It's probably gonna be better,
don't
honestly.
like. I'm not going to accept the for a kids show argument. This should be dark by its own merits,
Well, then-
or dark by Digimon standards.
Well,
I mean, it's
it
dark.
is definitely dark. It's
Yeah.
definitely the darkest Digimon.
You said it's
of
dark because
all.
they're gonna kill off like,
I mean,
a character.
like I
or-
said, the final boss is a metaphor for depression. It's all about how it's just really it's the characters you really fall in love with because they build up these little kids,
Yeah.
and they're little kids that are fighting with monsters and they're fighting other monsters. And then sometimes those monsters just happen to be the, monsters in yourself. And no, like that's really the point in the end.
I can throw in the empathy thing because even in the first 3 episodes, you kind of sympathize with this kid collecting cards, being a fan of this Digimon thing, making his own fan-made Digimon, like notebooks full of it. What was your first fan character, audience? But the thing is, like, then his fan Digimon comes to life and he lives the dream, and it's not what
he
it cracked
doesn't
up
live-
to. It's not what it cracked up to be. It comes with responsibility. So it definitely does build audience empathy from the get go. Like
does.
you can see yourself being this kid collecting cards and whatnot.
It is, and like I don't know. I mean, that's my. I know it's. I'm trying to figure out a good way to like argue this. That
Thumbs
isn't just
up.
a kids show. It's.
Yep. Okay, I've got Tamers on the list. We will see where exactly it goes in the ranking and stuff.
Can Psychopaths be on the list?
Well-
Or Psychopaths or Clannad. I'm fine with either.
Yeah, well, I was going to bring up Clannad because I know that's
Yes,
the
yes,
one
yes, yes, yes.
you
Clannad
and
probably
I
deserves it.
want to get on there. I will, like I said, I will admit the first season and the first 8 episodes of Clannad After Story have some issues. Like they definitely fall into some of the high school, romance cliches and
But
gets a little
even-
over dramatic at times. But 1, the comedy is great throughout, and 2, there are still some really powerful moments in those first
in
few
the
episodes.
first season, the whole Fuko arc,
Yeah.
like that's when I came in, like halfway through the Fuko arc, and I went back and watched the rest of it when it came back on. And even coming in then, it still got me emotionally, and I
Oh, yeah.
loved it.
I will say,
And I love that Fuko just
it's-
shows up sometimes.
It wasn't until around the 4th episode that I got really started liking Clannad. The first 3 episodes, it was trying to introduce all the girls in the first episode, and I didn't really like that way of doing it. But you do get really invested. I don't really like Katomi's arc that much. I much preferred Fuko's arc and the Nagisa arc that you get later in the first
out of
season.
all of them, Kotomi's is the weakest, I believe in, but I still love all the alternate, because my favorite thing is alternate universes with everything
Shipping,
possible.
perhaps.
My shipper heart, okay? Don't even diss.
You do have the shirt to prove
I
it.
should have worn my
It
shirt
would have
today.
been wonderful.
I got a shirt at Con. It says OTP, shipping everywhere, anywhere, and all that stuff. I can't remember the actual slogan underneath it, but it's OTP and it's a little FedEx thing.
That's
no,
awesome.
it's UPS. I lied, UPS. But it's great. But Clannad was beautiful always, and there wasn't a time when I did not want to watch it. I'd see it, I would eagerly wait for it to come back on demand. The first episode of After Story came on, I was like, yes! I was so happy.
Yeah, and After Story,
It's
the
so good.
9 through 22 gets to some of the single saddest things I've ever
It's
seen.
the saddest thing I've ever watched in my entire life, and I have watched a lot of sad things. I didn't stop crying during The Green Mile, and I did not stop crying during Clannad. It was beautiful.
That sounds painful.
I
It's
love
painful, but it's a good kind
It's
of
a
painful.
good painful. It's
It's
your hair's
cathartic.
ridiculous.
Is he doing a thing again?
And
Yeah.
the thing that's really beautiful about After Story is that it really it's literally After Story. Okay, he graduates from high school. Now he
They
has
grow
to
up.
get a job and eventually marries
beautiful.
Nagisa and has to support her, and raise a family.
with all the issues
gets-
with his dad.
Yeah,
and,
it actually
oh,
hit
my
me.
heart.
So it's a real story.
It's
No,
great.
it hit me in as far as real world, getting me to think about because it has the cliche message of basically family and love is more important than anything, but it communicates it in a really, really cool
And it's
in a depressing way, but in a good way.
They're our age too, so it's
Yeah,
you're
you know-
watching what. It's so tough for them.
Well, I
I'm
hate
sad
to
I didn't
disappoint
get my
you too,
marriage
but
scene.
from what I've heard, it does not sound like my cup of tea. So for me, it's probably a no sale.
Okay. Well, what would you say, Kenny and Andrew, for Clannad, not having seen it?
Andrew, would you like to go first?
I'm gonna go with. Yeah. I want to. I really do want to watch it, and I really
so
like
good.
the taking the kind of romantic comedy genre
great.
and then
Well-
taking the realistic expectation, because that's not something that stories do very often. Is they take the realistic.
But if I'm going for a betrayal of what you'd expect from a romantic comedy or from stuff like that, then I'll sell Bakemono before I sell this.
Right. Well, and from
You
what
haven't seen Clannad, though,
from what
so-
we've heard, though,
I know I haven't seen it, but it sounds like standard fare to me. I know you're
It's
saying
not.
it's
It's
not
so
what you
good.
expect.
Everything about it is
sounds-
beautiful.
I won't doubt that it's beautiful, but am I getting exactly what it says on the tin?
So the thing that was you know how some animes repeat some things, there's oh, look at this scene that we just saw, but with different voices, and Clannad never does that. It's always new and it's always beautiful, and there's not one cheap thing I've ever seen.
There's
really.
not.
yeah, I will say, like I said, beginning of Clannad definitely falls into some of those cliches you're talking about, but the later part of the After Story is where it really becomes this masterpiece.
Well,
in my mind.
I'm saying,
So beautiful.
would I get past episode 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because I said
Are
like
you sure?
I think
Would
so.
I personally get past episode 3?
I don't know,
Guarantee
From the
you.
sound of it, I don't think I would.
You have my seal.
Maybe not. The comedy really carried me through some of the rougher parts for me personally, because it has great comedy throughout, and it is one of those things like I was talking about Steins Gate, where the first half like becomes so invaluable in the later half because you got that first half is what got you so attached to these characters, and you realize how idyllic like this high
How
school life
mortal.
really was, compared to like how tough it is in the real world sort of thing. So I don't know. Kenny, what would you say?
Well, it's the anime I've heard you two reference the most, so I was already pretty interested. I'm like, this sounds pretty good. I trust your guys' judgment. But hearing this, one thing I've noticed in anime is when they continue to do like after stories, either it can be done really well or kind of can be horrifying. So I mean, seeing this, the fact that it carries so well and keeps the characters going, and it makes you think, oh my god, there's a life after all this. Like you said, this idealistic world here, and the fact that it can still stay depressing, but in a good way and teach you a message. I mean, it sounds like it deserves a top 10 position. So.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll put it down
Squeals.
on the list. This is what I've got right now. Isn't they all necessarily good to be on the list?
How many are on the list right now?
Okay, as of right now, we've sort of got we've got Steins Gate, Titan, Gurren Lagann. Let's see, Clannad, Steins Gate, Titan, Gurren Lagann, Madoka, Brotherhood, Bebop, and then DBZ and Tamers are sort of in the
Limbo.
iffy zone.
We're in the,
2, 3,
nether,
4,
yeah.
5, 6, 7. So we got like 7 here, like as sort of more definitive.
I'm
ones.
noticing a certain age group divide, like the age group it's marketed towards.
As far as like
As
these
far as
animes.
what's definitely in and what's maybe in.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, DBZ and Tamers are definitely more aimed
They're
towards younger
older.
audiences. Than but then again, like Brotherhood, Gurren Lagann, they have things that
Gurren
appeal to
Lagann more than Brotherhood. Brotherhood goes into some deep war stuff.
it goes into some dark stuff, but it's a shonen anime. It's supposed to be, or shonen manga. It's supposed to be read by 13-year-olds. That's its target audience,
guess so.
really.
You're not wrong.
Okay, yeah. What was you were talking earlier? About like whether you would pitch Excel World or Big O. Which would you like to pitch? To get on the list for sure. Or we can come back to
Sure.
you if you want to think about it more.
Sure.
Well, the one thing is, Big O doesn't exactly have an ending, and that's kind of hard to sell an anime that doesn't really have an
Yeah,
ending.
that's what I've heard.
But neither does Excel World. It kind of ends on a concluded cliffhanger.
Because
That's how
it's,
Bobobo
it's
ends.
still
That's a great
because
ongoing.
it's an adaptation of a
Right,
light
which is
novel.
something we would have to criticize Attack on Titan for as well, because it
That is something.
also doesn't have an
I mean, it's
ending.
But
continuing.
it's got a manga.
But we're not
Read the
debating
manga.
Right.
Yeah, but it's got a manga that is also still ongoing.
Well, yeah, it's new.
Yeah. So
Eh.
It's
that's
still updating.
I know.
Yeah, so it's a
well,
fresh show.
what would we lobby the concluded ending to on this list?
Well, I think we may have to stick with just what the anime has. That's what we're talking about.
yeah. Well, I
Well,
think
but how with Big O and Excel World, my choice between them, how satisfying is their concluded ending?
Oh, I can't
Wow, they're
speak
there.
for because I haven't seen either of them. But from what I've heard from Matt, Big O's like second season ending is like not conclusive at all. If Excel World is Excel World sort of like Attack on Titan, where it wraps up an arc but not the series sort of
Yeah,
thing.
pretty much.
I can live with those sorts of endings. Like at least it stops the story that you've been following, but that there's more to come. The series wide goal hasn't been
I
reached.
think definitely some of the inconclusive stuff that Big O was not able to get to, wasn't able to show, and with the nature of the show that they were going for, it kind of the inconclusive ending kind of brings it down. I know things aren't always supposed to be conclusion, and sometimes you're supposed to be left to guess for yourself. But with Big O, I definitely feel like there was something else supposed to be there, and there was, and it's just not.
Okay, so
So
Excel World.
Well, should I strike that against it? Because they planned a third season for Big O, but it just didn't happen. Is that something I should strike against an anime?
I mean, if we can go
Circumstances
into
outside of its own plot, unable to.
I don't know, because then Ava is obviously really not on this list right now. But if it was, would we, take into effect that they basically ran out of a budget for the last 2 episodes? That is something that we know if you read the supplementary material. But if you don't know that, then you just sort of think these last 2 episodes are really kind of bad.
If Ava was in, would we count the end of Ava or just the TV series?
We're just talking about TV shows, so I wouldn't
right.
count any movies.
Well, I don't know. It's hard for me to put it against Big O when that is definitely outside of the producers and writers' control. What happened to it?
Well, right, but I mean, in that the
Well, I
third
guess-
season was
I
supposed to
guess
happen,
that
but
does-
it
I
doesn't
guess that
exist.
does-
So
I guess that does technically, I guess that does technically bring down my impressions of it because I still feel like I haven't finished watching it.
Right.
So I guess I'll go with Excel World. I want to fight one of my favorites. So
Okay.
sorry, Big O fans.
That's all right. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on here as
Can I-
sort of
From my
confirmed
description of
just right
Bakemono,
now.
can I try to force it in?
Like limbo animes. We
What
could just
about
have.
Psychopaths? Is that still possible?
Okay,
Oh, yeah,
we'll
that's
get back to Psychopaths. What were you just saying, Tristan? I missed
From
it.
like basically, I wouldn't say anything different from Bakemono from when I introduced it into my top 5. From based on that, can I force that in?
Well, would you prefer Bakemonogatari over Excel World? Because right now I'm basically thinking like we can have one of
Well-
your
Well,
picks.
what? I only get one. Most of these is your guys' picks.
But they're repeats.
Yeah,
'Cause we've
Yeah,
seen
they're
the
repeats.
similar
But how
things.
will you guys vote on something you haven't even seen?
right. Well, and
did it last
we
time.
have been
I'm,
doing
I'm kind of outside the circle. I kind of feel I'm outside the circle right now.
a little bit because you haven't been. You're like of the sort of the third generation of Shred Seller here because you just joined us with this year. Not the
Yeah.
previous 2
It's an
years.
unfortunate side
You gotta
effect.
build it up.
But I want to have like some people who haven't been here the longest, so we sort of have representation. Because like Kenny and I are the first generation, Clara and Andrew are second.
Second.
You're the third, sort of.
Yeah.
We think of it that way.
Dude, we're alphas.
Yeah, alpha.
Yeah, well, how am I going to sell something that
Well-
A, I haven't seen with you guys, and B, you
All right.
guys
Well,
haven't seen
we haven't seen
period?
Yeah.
Clannad, excuse me, a lot of us, but we think it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So, I mean, you can
I
still
was
sell stuff.
I was selling
Well, yeah,
Clannad and
it kind of goes the other way. Like, basically, how this is turning out, it's more of your guys' list than mine.
right. Well, we sold Clannad and Steins Gate to Kenny and Andrew and to Claire for Steins Gate because they hadn't seen it.
Well,
so
this
why
is
don't
one
you
guy.
sell us on Bakemonogatari? I sort of know a little bit about it, having seen the first episode and hearing about it. But why don't you try to explain like what it is and why it's good?
I feel like I kind of already have in my introduction, but I think the core of it is like definitely for what it was going into.
I mean, what's
I-
the plot? What are the characters?
What do you mean?
I mean,
Well,
know what it is.
The thing I like about it is that it kind of defies a plot in favor of characters. Like, there is a plot, and the plot's purpose is mostly to bring these characters, to give them a reason to talk.
Just try to talk in your mic. Thanks.
To give them a reason to
Because
talk.
I like character development stuff. That's why I like Clannad so much, is because it takes so long to develop all of these characters and all their personalities.
Well, I guess the plot for, like, it usually takes a few episodes out for each of the characters, and to give the characters as much time as possible to talk about whatever to each other, they minimize the plot. The plot's certainly small in comparison to how much interaction there's
see.
going on
What,
here.
what genre would you say it
Wordplay.
is?
Genre, and if it was going on a seasonal thing, then it would probably get into harem genre.
Right.
Harem comedy. Definitely, it's not one you would read. It's definitely not one you would read the genres.
Yeah,
and
it's
get what
sort
you
of genre
expect.
defying. I think that's why people kind of like it.
Yeah,
Which
it's
is-
definitely.
I've got nothing wrong with harem animes. I quite like them, but
Bakemonogatari is what it's
gotcha,
called.
cool.
Yeah.
It's got great visuals, and like you said, I do sort of, from what I've seen and heard, it does seem like one of those, not a plot-driven show like Steins Gate or Madoka, but more, character-driven.
Yeah, and
Oh, I
like
can vote for it.
the harem is there. Like, it's one of the reason it doesn't irk me as much as with other shows is that A, the time actually spent with the characters. B, you see you see all of the girls and even other non-girls. You see their point of view, their
Boys.
perspective of the situation. So
is the main
like,
character worth it though?
is the main character worth it?
Yeah, like, cause like you know how like Shinji's got all these ladies and he's a whiny little whiny face.
You know,
And,
Koyomi
like,
Araragi,
into Loveru,
he
he
definitely
chose
amuses me,
Baka.
and I feel like he has as much to bring to the conversation as the other characters do.
Okay, so he's not like this character.
Usually,
who
when they're
wouldn't
talking with a
deserve it.
character, it kind of follows a bit of a comedy routine called what's it called?
I don't know.
It's
it does do that weird.
it's the straight man and the crazy one, and definitely Araragi is usually the one reacting to the crazy stuff happening.
Yeah, it does do a weird thing where like they'll randomly be talking and like some Japanese text will flash up on screen like it's supposed to be the protagonist's thoughts and like appear for like 2 frames and then
Yeah,
disappear.
definitely go. And there's art style shifts and references all about.
Yeah, it's
So-
it's done by the same director and studio that did Madoka, so it's very
Oh.
pretty.
because the characters are talking a lot. This is a joke I make with my friends. Because most of it is the characters talking and interacting, we make the joke that the animators don't really have a lot of instruction, so they basically do what they want. Art style shifts, change in the panorama, like sometimes... One of my notable ones is when two characters are talking in a coffee shop, but the coffee shop's layout keeps changing from each frame cut. What the characters are wearing is changing from the frame cut. It starts with one character wearing Groucho Marx glasses, and the other one wearing a Hawaiian shirt. The pattern on the shirt always changes. The way he's wearing the shirt changes. The glasses changes. Each from the cuts. You don't see the characters change it.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like
it uses a lot of cuts in
That
order
does
to
sound pretty
convey
awesome.
its
silly.
meaning.
I
Okay.
like it.
Yeah, and it changes the scene. Just subtle stuff to keep your attention while these characters are talking.
And they're completely
It's-
stoic and don't even like. Do
Well,
they
yeah,
actually
they don't
reference
acknowledge
Okay.
it. There's one scene where one of the characters just has a bunch of pencils on the stage. Between cuts, she makes a tower out of the pencils. She makes all the pencils bouncing on top of each other.
Okay, that reminds
They're
me-
all standing up in line.
I know what
Can
you're
I have an
gonna
honorable
say.
mention? Not on the list, but Cromartie High School is the best show ever made. Can I just say that? I don't want to be on the list, but I love
Cromartie
that
High
show.
School.
It's just
Give this man a medal.
those pencils, though.
Yeah.
He just dumps them. He's like,
Unfortunately, this character does not consume pencils.
He
Although,
owns my
if you're a fan of headcanons, there are less pencils in some shots than there are in the others, so you could say they're being consumed.
that can't be normal.
All right, so I've got Bakemonogatari on like the consideration list here. Let's get on to some ones that we've sort of referenced in passing. Psychopaths, Fate Zero, and Anohana are the three that stand out to me that like several people have mentioned.
I prefer Psychopaths over Anohana.
Really? That's interesting.
Because I feel like Clannad and Anohana have like the same like
Yeah.
rom-com feelsy stuff, so I don't almost not want to put the two of them on the same. And Psychopaths is slightly different than other things.
It's intense.
Okay.
It's
Psychopaths
intense,
is
and
definitely-
my favorite character dies.
Yes.
I know.
So
If
does
it's your
mine.
favorite character, they probably will.
Okay.
He didn't even need to die.
And let's see. And
He was the best.
has anyone here besides Kenny and I seen Fate Zero?
Fate
I've
Zero's
seen
so
Fate Zero.
good.
I
You've
tried
seen
to
Fate
watch
Zero?
it, but I didn't.
What are your opinions on Fate Zero? Because I definitely think it's pretty great. The ending kind of stinks because of the whole Fate Stay Night like
Well,
stuff.
unfortunately, I liked Fate Stay Night, so I don't mind them tying it into
Well-
it. One thing that sticks out for me, this was actually something you told to me, is while it is a good story on its own, there's a lot not explained. Like the way the show, the magic and everything in the show is supposed to work.
Yeah, the magic isn't really explained. That doesn't make me mad. The ending, like, basically, because I've read a little bit of like that portion, the light novel, reading the light novel actually makes it make a lot of
5 times
sense.
fast.
But in the anime, they
the light
don't
novel.
explain like anything that's going on in that ending, so it comes off as really kind of confusing and abrupt.
Yeah,
I wish
giant
they had
space
done that differently.
Space fleet from nowhere kind of situation.
Well, it's not a space fleet, more.
Well,
like
it's not a
cup,
space fleet.
but
It's a
yeah.
bunch of it's a cup with goo in it, but it does come out of nowhere.
Blood
is
I
the
will
Grail.
give it that.
Grail.
I knew what it was immediately because I was already
Because
familiar with
personally,
it.
on my list, I actually have Fate Zero ranked above Psychopaths. Although I do
Excuse.
really love Psychopaths.
But Ryder.
But Ryder, it's
the
Ryder.
reason.
Ryder
I
is
think
amazing.
Char-
Ryder. That's like
definitely
what makes the show.
definitely the characters probably do need to be addressed in Fate Zero
Yes.
because it's not constant action all the time.
No, it's actually a lot of like political. I mean,
Okay.
well, not political, but intrigue and stuff. They talk
Well,
about the
most of
planning
it,
behind it.
as opposed to like Bakemono, where they're BSing about the entire time, there's a lot of clash of ideals here, and I like throughout the entirety of Fate. One of the big things that is constantly discussed is what is a hero really?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
that's my favorite episode.
One of the best
episode
things I was
11.
gonna
Yeah.
say when they all sit together and he challenges.
Yeah, they challenge
Archer's
what
ideal.
their perspective of what a king is and supposed to do,
Yeah.
which ultimately ends in two of them saying, "King Arthur, we do not accept you as a king."
Yeah, I was gonna
Yep.
say.
based on our own ideals.
Okay.
the
No
clash of
picks.
ideals is definitely something to be behold.
And again, is one of the most probably the most beautiful anime
Oh,
I've
yeah.
ever seen.
It's freaking amazing for a
Yeah.
TV anime. Okay, so I had Fate Zero and Psychopaths to the list. The one that's not on here that right now that I personally want to see on there, I'm not sure how many other people have seen it, is Bakano, one of my all-time favorites. Crazy
I've
little
seen
show.
Baccano.
I haven't seen.
But so yeah, you three haven't seen Bakano, so you've seen.
I have
You're
seen
the only one
Baccano.
who's seen it. Would you fight for it, or because we've got 13 anime on the list as of
Certainly
right now?
over some other things, but I think it will be a hard. I think it will be a hard sale. One of the strike against it that's a little disorienting at first is that it's not told sequentially.
Right.
You're basically hopping back and forth along the timeline of how these events took place.
Right.
And I think it's masterfully done, but disorienting.
well,
What do
yeah.
you
It could be
think?
impressive.
It's definitely very disorienting in the first episode for those who've seen Pulp Fiction, sort of like that, except crazier because it's 3 timelines and they're jumping all around between them. But the beautiful thing is that by the end of the show, like everything comes together and everything makes sense. So it
it's one
really
of those shows that culminates.
it really pays off like big time near the end.
like that.
And it has Isaac and Miria, who are a duo that are 2 of the best, like funniest anime characters of all time.
Ever.
But yeah, it's gonna be kind of a tough sell since these 3 haven't seen it.
Well, I don't know. Like, even plot-wise, I can definitely point out things to describe in the plot, but it'd all be spoilers. And I don't
Yeah.
feel like doing that.
Okay,
Time.
so let's just go with what we've got right now. I think we've got 14 shows on this list, so we need to eliminate 4 of them basically,
Okay.
and then we'll have our 10. So right now we've got Baccano, Fate Zero, Psycho Pass, Clannad, Steins Gate, Attack on Titan, Gurren Lagann, Madoka Magica, Full Alchemist Brotherhood, Cowboy Bebop, Excel World, DBZ, Digimon Tamers, and Bakemonogatari. So, now Kenny, I'm gonna come back to DBZ here because we've got like Fate Zero, Psycho Pass. We've mentioned these shows that like we really like. We really want to get on this list because they tell good stories. So that's why I'm saying it would be kind of a crime to leave some of those off if we kept DBZ at number 10. Can you concede that for me?
Like Ryder, I'll fight to the end. Though I'll lose, I'll keep going till I die. DBZ will be number 10.
Okay, fine.
I
Goku
feel
taught
like
me anything, don't back down.
I feel like I would probably sell it more if it was DBZ Kai because it does cut a lot of the fluff and everything that the original airing.
So I was talking about DBZ Kai the whole time.
I would sell it more if it was DBZ Kai. I think DBZ. Well, we very much when we saw it in America, this was a day by day thing.
No, I understand. If something I really liked as a kid that hasn't aged as well as I would have hoped, I still love it. I understand.
Well,
it'll be in the top 10 list,
definitely we were not even as a kid, but like we got that every day. I
Yeah.
can't imagine waiting every week for DBZ.
Oh, no, that'd be awful.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
see, I understand that. I knew it would be in the top 10 list. I just want to give my spiel so everybody around us agrees that you're all wrong and that is the best. But I know I'm right.
Yeah,
It's-
we'll get emails.
I cannot hate it. I can't.
It's
like,
a great anime.
It's really
I want
great.
an honorable mention.
Oh, it's
And
an
I
honorable
think-
mention.
I think
Every-
for what
all these are
it
honorable
does.
mentions.
I think
Also
for what it
for honorable
does, it
opponent.
definitely deserves an honorable mention. I'll give
Yes.
it that.
Okay, cool. So then
I tried, Kenny, but I couldn't.
we tried. Okay, looking at some other things. We've got like we've still got Tamers, which we need to figure out. Excel World, Bakemonogatari, Baccano, Fate Zero, Psycho Pass. Like these are the ones that are sort of like more iffy. I feel like.
I think the question is,
Psychopaths.
if we can build, I know it's easy to go from 10 to 1. I almost feel it's easier to pick the best and go to 10 because 10's where it gets really ambiguous. So I feel like we should pick our favorite one first and work from there. It makes the most
I think it would
But-
take longer for us to decide what our favorite one is.
Well, yeah, I'd say let's get rid of so we got to get rid of 3 more right now. Then we'll be down to 10. Then we can rank them.
I think it's awkward. I'm saying once we get to 10, I feel like if we go 1 and keep going up, it'll make a lot more sense. Because 10 is so much debate around what's 9 or 10 or 8.
I think cutting the fluff would probably be more.
No, I'm saying cutting the fluff, then we decide.
Yes. Then
Yeah.
we'll
That's what I meant.
decide.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, let's do that.
So 3 more.
Okay.
Fluff.
I would wonder, Tristan, just from what I've heard, because I've heard, like you said, that Bakemonogatari is this thing has really become like this phenomenon. Like you said, it's the number 3 selling thing of all time apparently now. And I do know I trust Akiyuki Shimbo and Shaft, and I know it's got these great visuals, and I've heard lots of good things about it. Even though it is pretty weird, from what I've
But-
heard. So I'm just wondering, basically, is it since it's more sort of artsy, with lack of a better term, is that something that's more deserving of the top 10 than Excel World? Would you say?
Man, I never get to talk about Excel World. I think yes. Excel World holds a special place for me, but in the grand scheme of things, I think Bakemonogatari probably has more to leave.
Okay, let's go with that. So now we got to eliminate
Never
2
get
more.
to talk about Excel World.
I'm sorry, Tristan. I do want to do it for this podcast at some point, and you'll be on that one, and we will talk about it for an hour straight, and it's going to be awesome. Okay, so now I'm looking at Digimon Tamers, then Baccano, Fate Zero, Psycho Pass. Sort of these ones we've got sort of in the drift
Because
here.
my wild card was
What
taken
Stein's
out.
already?
gonna
Steins Gate
see.
already cut?
No, Steins Gate's still in here.
It's actually pretty cemented.
Yeah, Steins Gate, Titan, Brotherhood, Madoka, it seems like those ones are pretty cemented based on what we were saying. Baccano, Fate Zero, Psycho Pass, Tamers, these are ones we brought up later, So, I think, I don't know, I guess I hate to do it because I really love Baccano, but
I don't think there's enough context
yeah,
here to win
there's
it.
not enough context here, so I'll kill Baccano.
That's
So
not very nice.
So it's now
just
between
Well,
these three.
for us to describe why it would be good would be to spoil a lot of it.
Yeah.
for
I
us.
was being sarcastic.
yeah, it does have one of the best dubs of all time, actually. Like
Oh
right
yeah,
behind
the
Bebop.
dubcast. Whoop.
I'm talking about the best dubs. DBZ's good.
That lad Russo.
I will admit the DBZ dub is far better than the Japanese
Imagine- I was
sub.
gonna
So I will admit that.
Allow me to bring you a lesson. Allow me to bring you a request in my native language. All right, let's hear it. It means let's get down to business. No more pussyfooting. What do you say? All right, sounds good. I am not joking.
We did have the abridged thing. I gotta say, DBZ does win abridged, hands down.
Yeah, no, DBZ
No.
Abridged is amazing.
Agreed.
No. Helsing wins.
He really likes Hellsing.
Hellsing was
which is
good.
done by the
I
same
mean,
people.
I like the
so.
Attack on Titan abridged.
That was brutal.
All right.
Attack on
So right now we've got Fate Zero, Psychopaths, Clannad, Steins Gate, Attack on Titan, Gurren Lagann, Madoka, Brotherhood, Bebop, and Digimon Tamers.
How
so
much
that's
more to cut?
that's 11. We need to cut one of these.
All right.
And
We know
so
one's coming up.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I can see it coming.
No.
Don't worry, it happened to
I'm
me.
sorry. I
Yeah.
don't know what.
Oh, sorry, and
Psychopaths.
Bakemonogatari. Sorry, I
I
forgot to
know,
mention that.
but explain it to me. I don't know a thing about
Pretty
Psychopaths.
much, there's
I have
this-
some context for Tamers. I don't know a thing about Psychopaths.
There's this city, it's all in the future, and you have these different machines that test your hues, which is like your stability in your mind, your personality, and if you go out of line, they have this police force that's supposed to track you down and make sure that you are stable. And those who are not willing to cooperate are hunted down by these enforcers, who are all latent criminals. And the main character, Akane, is in the police force. She got the highest score in her class, and she's shoved into this world that she was not prepared for, and has to pretty much become this hero and deal with all these things that are just
All right. Good
exploding
things
around
about it.
her.
yeah, you mentioned earlier
The
like
animation's gorgeous.
You
What
mentioned
is
the
that?
philosophy stuff in Fate Zero. Psychopaths does that a lot as well because it's also written by Gen Urobuchi, the same guy. It really
Yeah.
gets into this dystopian future thing, and the animation is done by Production IG, who's really good.
And then
Okay.
it turns out like everything that's like measuring hues and stuff is completely corrupt itself. So it's like there's this corrupt god that's ruling everything, and no one can really stop it.
And one of the best things, it puts into question something we have like a problem in our world today. Like, you know how people are just desensitized to violence? Like, people get brutalized in the street in the show, and they have no idea, like, do we believe it? Is it real? Do we stop it? The law will stop it. So it just
Yeah.
brings in a
and
lot of
it's
things
got
like
these
that.
awesome guns called the Dominators. Like the
The
whole idea
Dominators,
is that
sweet.
they can't. You literally can't pull the trigger if someone's crime coefficient number is too low.
All right.
Like
well, can I
machine
Can I
decides
cut
it.
the gushing and ask versus Fate Zero, my own ideals and Urobuchi-ness? Go.
Oh well,
I haven't seen Fate Zero, so I can't say
yeah.
anything.
Personally, I like Fate Zero more than Psychopaths.
Tough one.
Well, on the Urobuchi level, let's make this thing. Urobuchi level.
It's.
how is
I mean,
it?
Psychopaths is very Urobuchi. It's very dark. You know, the ending is not quite the ending that we want. You know, but still, you know, still,
so
It
mad.
still
worked,
a good
but
ending.
it wasn't what I want. Like what I wanted was
Hey.
impossible.
Yeah,
So
that's the
I
thing.
Well,
I can
that's
accept
the thing
it.
about Urobuchi's writing. What you want.
Happiness
if it's
for
not
no
possible,
one.
he won't write it.
I don't know.
Right.
Andrew, you've seen Psychopaths,
I
right?
watched a little bit.
you've
I watched
seen a
half
little
of
bit.
it. I
That's
have to
fine.
finish it.
It's almost like a stupid title.
I really
can't
liked
decide.
it. I thought the setting was actually the thing that stood out the most to me.
Yeah.
Was
and it also has one of the best anime villains ever in
And they've got
Makishima.
beautiful lesbians.
He's
too.
really
Makshima's
good.
Oh my god, that no, it's Bishonen, man.
He's super shonen man.
Super Bishonen, man.
Okay, I guess I'm asking, do you you didn't see all of Psychopaths, obviously,
not.
but would you say that Psychopaths is better or worse than Digimon Tamers? Like thinking objectively.
I'm thinking. Give me a second.
Okay.
A lot of the problem with, and this is the same problem that comes with you
DB.
with Excel World and you with
DBZ.
DBZ is a lot of what Digimon is I watched it as a kid. And I'm
Right.
like, it was a good show as a kid. I'm like,
a
no,
curse, I'm
that's one of
afraid.
those things. It goes up there with,
That's
you
how
know,
I like Pokemon.
Yu-Gi-Oh and other things that I watched as a kid. And then I watched it again as an adult because, like, if you watch Yu-Gi-Oh again, you're like, it's cringeworthy. But,
yeah, it's-
but when you
Oh,
watch
yeah.
Digimon,
It
you
kills
see
the
all of
man.
the subtext in Tamers.
Well, at least in Tamers, you've said like seasons 1, 2, 4.
One had a little bit of that, but one was just it just had
It's just
well-written-
fun.
One had well written characters, but it wasn't like this great thing.
Right.
But 3, there's subtext, there's all of these like classic like things that you associate with like great
Is
writing,
this a
and you're
different
like
series or just a different season?
just this season,
Just a
Okay.
different
3.
season, but the Digimon seasons are usually very different from
They
each
are.
So you
other.
count them as like almost
So,
different shows. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
from what I saw, objectively, I mean, because a lot of what limits Digimon is that it was made for kids, so they do have to pull some punches
Right.
occasionally. And also, since it was made for children and had a lower budget, the fight scenes aren't that great. The animation is not very smooth, and it was obviously done to save a lot of, money.
Right.
So
What gets me is I don't want to it pulls punches because it had to based on its audience. I don't want to pull that against it when Psycho-Pass is obviously meant for a older audience.
it is. Psycho-Pass
So-
is definitely
Give
meant
me a
for an
second,
older audience.
Susan.
Like
So excited.
Digimon
Me
was
too.
definitely written as best it could, given the limitations that it had, which was its
Right.
budget.
And I do see your argument with the whole kids show thing because one of my personal all-time favorite animated shows, period, is Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is
Yes.
constrained a little bit because it can't show some things, because it is a kids show, but yet it still
But it was
is this
pretty
amazing
intense.
thing. Despite those restrictions, it manages to do these things with philosophy and being dark and blah blah blah. It sounds like Tamers is somewhat similar.
it is. It is
Well,
very similar.
I
to
can't
that.
speak for Tamers. You're gonna have to do that on your own. Psycho-Pass versus Tamers.
See, that's what I'm thinking.
You're the
about.
only one who's seen
Like,
both.
because I am the only one who has seen the both of them. Well, I mean, I haven't finished Psycho-Pass, and I'm sure the ending was good. I mean,
It hurts.
because
So many
it is
emotions.
It
heartbreaking,
hurts,
and
It's a
he's
butcher ending.
the best at
and you
unhappy
saw
endings.
you saw up to about episode 11.
Roughly, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
It
because
was
there's
around then.
there's the biggest plot twist in the show happened in the second half, like the nature of the Sybil system and characters dying. There's some big things that happen
We
in
don't
the second
talk
half.
about those characters
Yeah,
that die.
so- Yeah,
they're great, Alex.
Everyone lives, and it's great.
Yeah,
My OTP sails on.
What I have to give it is that Psycho-Pass does win. Psycho-Pass probably wins because it is written for adults. That does a lot more, just freedom.
Yeah.
And its animation budget was definitely
Andrew
a
in our
lot
hearts,
better.
DBZ and
yeah.
Digimon.
Yeah,
Digimon
I think
won.
it's telling that Tamers, despite the fact that it is a kid show, basically made it to the number 11 spot on our list. Just off of our top 10.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Okay.
see how it is, just shunting DBZ to the side.
Oh, don't worry. DBZ's in the top 15.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
tying
there
11.
will
I'll fight
there
with
will
that.
always be people to fight
It's
for
like-
there
DBZ
will.
because the fight
We
is
have
eternal.
more people.
There's more.
I'll
Okay.
bring more.
So right now our top 10 not ranked is Fate Zero, Psycho-Pass, Clannad, Steins Gate, Attack on Titan, Gurren Lagann, Madoka Magica, Full Alchemist Brotherhood, Cowboy Bebop, and Bakemonogatari. So I sort of agree with Kenny. Let's start ranking from the top and work our way down.
It's hard,
All right.
but it'll make it easier.
Now, obviously, last year, last year our top 3 was Gurren Lagann, Bebop, Brotherhood.
Hey, Gurren Lagann's not even on here this time.
Gurren on here.
No, Gurren Lagann's on here.
Lagann's on here.
Don't worry. Get on here.
Yeah, and I personally, I don't think Gurren Lagann should
No.
be number 1.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. Andrew.
How'd Gurren Lagann get on here? I don't remember.
Well, we were talking about it
Oh,
earlier.
we all voted
Kinda
for
just
it.
slipped in.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. We slipped that one in for
It's
you.
ridiculous. You can't stop it ever.
It's
It has fighting spirit. It will always find its way back, whether you want to or not.
I like the fighting spirit in Robo more.
Well, you should show me Robo sometimes.
You put
'cause-
3 sociopaths in a Gurren Lagann, what happens? Fun stuff.
All right. So for number 1, I mean, I think some contenders we have here are like Madoka, Bebop, Brotherhood, Gurren Lagann. Like,
I'd advocate
of-
for Madoka just
Well,
because of.
I'd
the
go for
movie.
Madoka, but I admit that some of my I have it as number 1 on my list, but that's a lot of that is because of my personal favoritism. So I could concede like Bebop or Brotherhood or something else getting the number 1 spot.
Or Attack
So
on
I haven't,
Titan.
I haven't seen
No.
Bebop
No.
or Brotherhood, so I can't.
I haven't seen
say.
Bebop or Brotherhood.
I think it wouldn't be fair because Bebop's like our favorite, but it wouldn't be fair to put that. I'd say that's number 2 worthy, but number 1, not enough of us have seen it. Like Madoka's been almost majority, so I could fight for that.
So are you
how-
saying Bebop should be number 1 or Madoka?
Bebop should be number 2 because it's not. I wouldn't say it's fair enough because only really you and I have seen it. You've seen Bebop, right?
No, he hasn't seen
Yeah,
it.
so
I've,
literally
se-
just like
I've
you
seen
and I.
Madoka Magica, and
But we've all
I've-
seen Madoka though, so I mean that's
Yeah.
something we could argue with the most. That's
That's
the one I
true.
think off the list we've all
Okay,
seen.
fine. Let's hear it, Tristan. What are your major criticisms of Madoka?
It was too good for its own good.
Yes.
Like,
Just put it on the top. Just put it on the top because I have a feeling if I watch Bebop, I'd probably find something wrong with it. It's been a while since I've seen Madoka, though.
have you seen Brotherhood? Full Alchemist Brotherhood?
I've seen the first half.
Okay. The second
Um,
half is really good.
Yeah,
We're really
I know.
good at this,
I can't say
guys.
anything having seen the
Really
second
good at
half,
this game.
but I can say I feel like I've gotten more out of Brotherhood than I've gotten from Madoka, just kind of based on that.
Okay.
I can probably say that.
Yeah, well, I love Brotherhood's my number 2, so I love them both a lot. But so it sounds like Madoka
Like-
Number 1.
for number 1.
Madoka.
All right.
And,
Okay.
2 Cowboy Bebop.
So then 2 Cowboy Bebop. Is that fair?
That's fine with me.
I mean, I
Number
can-
2.
yeah.
I mean, I didn't see any of it, and you showed me the movie, so like the one between like episode like 25 or something. Like I saw
Right.
that. And
Well, at
I
that point, my
like-
vote doesn't even matter.
Yeah, well, it does, like, when we were doing our list last year, it came down to a thing where whichever one got 3 votes, basically 3 beat out of 5 is
Majority's an
majority.
unfortunate thing in
So
this world.
that's how we got to kind of do it. Okay, so Bebop number 2, Brotherhood number 3, or
Well, let's hear some pitches at this point.
okay,
Yeah,
fine,
get some
fair
pitches.
enough.
What's
So
your face in-
I'd
we've-
like Clannad to at least be 5.
We've got some things like Brotherhood, Gurren Lagann, Titan, Steins Gate, Clannad, Psychopaths, Fate Zero, Bakemonogatari.
Titan, I could see a solid like 6 around that region, 4 to 6 range.
I want to put Guittari and Steins Gate a little bit above some of these others.
Okay, yeah, well, I like Steins Gate a lot, so I would have that high
But
up
if
I
it's
could.
versus Brotherhood,
I mean,
is
we've all
basically the
seen
thing.
Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
I have
don't.
not.
I would.
I've only seen
that's
the
not the
first
ending
half.
of Brotherhood.
I
I've
watched
seen most
like
of it,
an
so.
episode.
I know.
Brotherhood, I'd say, is a very solid 3 because that's a really
Yeah.
well done
You
anime.
know
The
what?
ending was solid.
I'm gonna give it this hit. The short jokes. Cut it out. It's not funny anymore.
Dude, I've done it my entire life. I can sympathize with it.
No, indie anime. The Ed is short jokes. Stop it.
It gets overused a bit. I'll admit
No,
that.
it was overused before this anime even started.
Well, but that's just because the original series came first. They can't do anything about
Yeah.
that.
Well,
based
yeah,
off the
you
same,
can cut down on the short jokes is what
I
you
mean,
can
every
do.
anime's
but
got
it's based
problems,
off
so
the
that's
same source material.
more of a
so-
minor-
Yes, so give it a few nods, but stop it.
That's
It's
more
not
of a
funny
minor
anymore.
Thing with it. I'd still say it's a solid number 3. I could vote
I know.
for that.
Personally, I would go for Brotherhood for number 3. But so me and Kenny say Brotherhood for number 3. What is something someone else would like to see at number 3?
I mean, I'm fine with Brotherhood. I mean, I've seen a
I'm
little
going
bit
to
of
strike
FMA,
this against
so.
Brotherhood. One thing I do agree with. When I watched it, I was lucky to watch it with friends because there were things I just did not understand. It assumes you've already seen Full Metal.
The beginning part does rush a little bit because
It assumes you've seen Full Metal.
It,
I mean, that's a lot. That's a complaint I can log against Fate Zero too.
Fate Zero.
Although I hadn't seen Fate Stay Night, and I still got through Fate Zero pretty.
Yeah, but
pretty easily.
like they had an entire like multi-episode OVA just explaining how things worked in Fate Zero.
The first episode was long. That's true.
Yeah, well, not even a first episode. They had an entire like teacher segment basically explaining.
Oh, I did actually see one of those.
Yeah, like how it works. That's a lot. That's a complaint I can log against both of those. I kind of want to put some of the others, like Steins Gate or something, in being completely self-content.
Okay, so it sounds like it's between Brotherhood and Steins Gate then.
For me, yes.
Because, I mean,
Well,
No
because I
pref.
do think like the rushing at the beginning, I'm missing a lot of context
Okay.
here, and I haven't seen half of the series, so I think I can strike that against Brotherhood.
okay.
Don't worry. I think I've got a solid number 4 though.
What?
One Piece because Zoro can cut through anything.
We don't even have One Piece on here.
Zoro can cut through
Andrew,
anything.
that's a
good argument.
I do like that argument.
If I had to vote between the two, Brotherhood and Steins Gate, having not seen either of them,
I think
but
Steins Gate
watching
could
one
be-
episode of Brotherhood and then reading the sum, well, it's basically this like the setup for both of them because
Right.
I like looked into I've seen Brotherhood on Netflix. Like,
Well, how does this sound? Like I got a solid. See, let's say like Brotherhood 3, 4 could be Steins Gate, 5 could be Clannad. That sounds like a pretty.
The thing is,
Yay.
I want to say that Steins Gate is higher.
Oh,
I'd
then
actually
Brotherhood. Sorry,
vote
that's
with
my
him
argument.
because
Okay.
Steins
I mean-
Gate seems more intriguing to me.
Can we agree,
Steins
though?
Brotherhood, Clannad?
Okay, what were you saying, Kenny?
I'm saying the next 3 we have Clannad, Steins Gate, and Brotherhood all duking it out.
We'll see about Clannad because I like having Clannad up high, but I do agree with Tristan that Bakemonogatari should probably be somewhere reasonably
that's so
high.
thing.
I'll give it 6.
Right. Okay. So I'll concede that. I have Brotherhood ranked a little higher on my list over Steins Gate, but I love Steins Gate too, so I'll concede that. So
Steins Gate's number 3?
3 Steins Gate,
Okay.
4 Brotherhood.
That's solid.
Right. Yeah,
Okay. So then we've got Clannad,
Versus
Gurren
Baka
Lagann,
thing.
Titan, Fate Zero, Psychopaths, and Bakemonogatari.
Okay, so I think it's between Bakemonogatari versus like Clannad for number 5 then.
Are
Okay,
you sure?
6.
Yeah, I'm the only one here who's seen it. I'm open
We just looked
for.
up stuff about it though, and I like the premise for
Yeah.
it,
It's
a
so
vampire
I
thing.
would.
But
I wouldn't be mind if I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind if it was
Clannad,
5, but I haven't seen. it.
Clannad is number 5 on my list, so that's about where I'd like it to
Boop,
be.
boop,
Yeah,
boop.
I mean, I can say like 5 or 6 could definitely be between these two.
I'd prefer it higher, but I have a feeling I'm going to lose that vote.
I mean,
I don't
we
know. What would you say, Andrew?
Um,
Having not really seen either.
I-
having not
either
seen
either,
either.
so.
I mean, I've heard you guys have. I mean, I just heard about the Bakemonogatari today, so I've heard you guys talk about Clannad, and Clannad does sound more up my alley, but that's just a me thing.
Okay. So, fine. Clannad 5, Bakemonogatari 6.
All right.
And then Attack
Okay.
on Titan.
Okay.
idea.
No, I'd
Well-
actually fight for Gurren Lagann over
Yeah,
Attack on
we-
Titan.
I'd fight for Fate Zero or Psychopaths over either of those.
Okay.
Okay, Fate Zero, I could argue being higher. That's something I could agree with because Fate
I'm
Zero.
okay with Psychopaths being higher.
You know, I'd almost say I'd put Fate Zero.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, right now we've got Fate Zero, Psychopaths, Titan, and Gurren Lagann. Personally,
I want to
Yeah.
put Fate Zero there.
I think
Okay,
it'd be between
so-
Fate Zero and like Psychopaths for the next one.
okay,
I'd
so
think with the gun.
you're
I
not
couldn't
going
think
with
of it.
Gurren Lagann?
Not between those two, I'd say. I'd say it'd be a little higher than that.
Okay, so you're going with Fate Zero, you're going with Fate Zero, Psychopaths. You would say,
I'm fine with Psychopaths,
She
but I
wants-
mean I haven't seen Fate Zero, so I can't talk.
right, Psychopaths, and you were
I
saying,
mean, I've only seen
Fate Zero's inspirational as
Psychopaths,
bullets.
and I really liked what I saw of Psychopaths. So
and we've got okay. So fine. What if we said, yeah? Because personally, for me, like I really like Gurren Lagann. Like I'd probably have it at number 6, but then. And I like Fate Zero a little bit more than Psychopaths. Like that's sort of where I'm falling.
I
in
can
the
For
agree
me,
with that.
Fate Zero and Psychopaths kind of just. The only thing I know about Psychopaths is that Gen Urobuchi wrote it.
Yeah,
That's literally the only
I
thing I
told you
know.
the whole premise.
You told me the whole premise, but
I don't.
There
just
were
the premise
emotions
isn't
in
enough.
everyone's more.
I
All
haven't
right.
watched it. I don't know the characters. So to me, it's still Gen Urobuchi wrote this dystopian future thing.
But there's a gun. It's cool.
I don't question.
Okay,
I don't question.
what if we-
Urobuchi writes things?
What if we did this? What if we did Fate Zero 7, Psychopaths 8, and then Gurren Lagann 9?
Okay.
Yeah.
We just went like
Wow,
that.
Gurren Lagann went
Attack-
down,
Yeah,
like,
Titan would be 10. I can go
one
with that.
to-
I want Attack on Titan to be higher than Gurren.
I would fight you on that.
No, I would.
It's
I
guaranteed
can't.
to be
No,
higher.
because
Guaranteed.
at the
Probably
least,
just because,
Gurren Lagann
like-
got like. I mean,
The one thing I have a complaint about Titan is that they actually didn't get to like the one gigantic thing I wanted them to about who is a colossal Titan and armor Titan.
Yeah,
no
they
one
probably
say
could've pushed
anything
that
if you
further.
know, because I do and I read everything. But
I know what
the
you're
whole
talking
thing,
about.
it's like they got to a part that they found a good stopping point, and we don't know how long it's going to be till the next part.
They may not even have a next
I haven't
part.
seen all
Oh.
Gurren Lagann, but like I've seen the movies. You made me watch them, and I broke.
The
Awesome.
Gurren Lagann is an anime original thing.
It's its
So-
own thing. It's
So it's its own thing.
unique,
It's
it's
allowed to
fun.
be more condensed. Attack on Titan was forced to stop at some point, and I think
Which
I
is
agree.
really
They
unfortunate.
probably could have had a bigger stinger if they went a little further.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, cause I mean, it's really not that far off from.
Right, that's what you're saying on
They
the
stopped at the
podcast. I
doorstep.
remember.
Like they literally, it's like, hey, Aaron, insert. We are these guys, and he's like, "Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? You're saying this right to my face." And they're like,
I know Gurren Lagann is stupid, but it is still the single most inspirational and epic anime I've personally ever seen.
It's
Like
great,
epic
and
is an.
it's-
More anime.
"It's got a fairly happy ending." I mean, I wasn't super pumped with like.
I like the fact though that it's got a bit of a bittersweet ending because it sort of subverts what you'd think for like such a happy-go-lucky kind of show.
It kind of helps
I
sober
mean,
it up a bit.
the characters were happy, so I can't be too. It's like the characters were like super sad in any way, shape, or form. I would be a little bit more upset, but he was like, "Yeah, I'm okay with this," and I'm like,
It's
"All
a-
he
right, I
accepted
have
it.
to accept that
he
you're
had
okay."
accepted it by that
If
point.
they
so
weren't, if he was not okay, I would have problems. But he was okay with it.
Yeah.
See, I figure after throwing galaxies at people, you just kind of accept things. kind of like this is
Okay.
okay. This is
So Gurren Lagann 9, Titan 10.
Boop boop.
Well, there you
that's what
go.
I thought it'd be.
Yep. Nope. See, once we got to our 10, we actually were able to rank them pretty quick.
Digimon.
Official list.
Okay, yes.
Miss you.
So, can we have a little drum roll, please?
Our
new, okay, that's enough.
The number one anime
Our-
of the year.
Our new top 10 list goes that Attack on Titan is number 10, Gurren Lagann is number 9, Psychopaths is number 8, Fate Zero is number 7, Bakemonogatari is number 6, Clannad is number 5, Full Alchemist Brotherhood is number 4, number 3 is Steins Gate, number 2 is, where to go, Bebop, and number 1 is Madoka
Dragon Ball Z.
Magica.
Oh, whoa, fancy that.
Wow, Gurren Lagann went from number 1 to 9. I mean, jeez.
Yeah.
have the
You guys
honorable
have like
mentions?
weird
There are a
voting
lot more
excuse.
anime this year.
I list the honorable mentions.
Also, the
Can I
hype
have that
train's
job?
starting to slow at this point.
Well, I mean, I know, but
Honorable
still.
mentions.
Like everybody's heard of it.
Yes, and honorable mentions go out to DBZ and to Tamers.
And Cromartie High School.
Tamers
someone
almost.
there.
I almost got you, Tamers.
You almost got it.
I tried.
You tried really hard. Yeah,
If
I don't
had
know.
seen it, I probably would have fought for it.
We don't have Mark
I'll show
on,
you.
on the podcast, so
We've
he's
got
not
it.
fighting
We've
for
got it.
Gurren Lagann like he did last year.
Man, he fought
To
hard.
be fair. Okay,
There was blood.
so this was fun.
I
We
missed
got
it.
our top 10 list. So let's just do a quick sort of reminiscing thing for, you know, I was thinking since this is the 50th episode, this is kind of a big deal. We might as well talk about some of our favorite moments for Shredded Cels, you know. I did a little research, or not research, but I just did a little math, like adding up like the times basically for all the podcasts that we've done. So the total amount of time, if you listen to
Very
every
late.
single episode, is 77 hours and 38 minutes.
Oh my god.
Oh!
Wow.
Ew.
Just to put
Let's
that-
marathon.
yeah.
What's
You were
marathon?
disgusting.
That's like 3 days.
Yeah,
I am-
it is. It's more than 3
It
days.
was well over 3
Honestly,
days.
personally, like I have fun talking on these things, but there's certainly a way we can condense our time a little
There's a
better.
limit. My podcast podcasts all combined are like 30 hours, maybe.
Yeah, well, we sometimes ramble on, but I
We
think
do
that
have
lets
a
us-
tendency to go to like 2 hours.
We
Yeah.
were actually on topic a lot today. There was just a lot to talk about.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like
Wrong.
sometimes there's a lot to talk about, and sometimes we go on tangents, but they're usually good tangents.
Healthy ones.
Yeah, you know,
And
so
Jeremy yells at
and,
all of us.
and that also means that because there were
comes
two
Jeremy.
podcasts that Matt hosted back in the day, so that means I've been on 75 hours of those 77 that I've been
Something
here.
proud of.
So yeah,
Glad you crunched these numbers.
yeah. So I was thinking we'd just go around and just sort of say some of our favorite moments from Shredded Cels. Obviously, I've been on like I said, almost every episode, so there's a lot for me. But still, my number one favorite moment is episode 31, Pokemon Heroes, aka the Clara cast, as it's called in iTunes.
That one is
Because
my favorite.
not only was it just like a fun episode, like I ragged on Pokemon Heroes quite a bit because I didn't really like it, but you know, we got into like the last 20 minutes of that are just like us getting on tangents and just talking about these really random but funny topics. And then
Wait,
near
was
the
that the one?
and that's the one where we called you.
Okay, I was
You
gonna
know.
say my top 2 favorite moments. That's one because I was doing my own thing. I'm like, why is Matt calling me? Isn't he a podcast? So, yeah.
Because that was where Clara refused to say spooky boogie.
The greatest thing of all
Boogie
time.
boogie.
Until Kenny did it. So that was just, it
Got
was
my
totally
fix.
impromptu and it was beautiful and everyone laughed.
Thank you.
You know, and another one of my favorite moments is from actually the top 10 list that we did last year, episode 24, when Andrew mentioned that his number 3 show was Angel Beats.
I know what moment you're
And
talking about.
Jeremy's death scene.
I have
Matt.
Oh,
switched
Matt,
that,
right.
but
He fell out of his chair. Like,
I
was sitting across from him.
I
It
have
was
since
terrifying.
acquired better taste in this, but yeah, that
Yeah,
was
no,
a-
and if you, because I like going back and listening to some of the funny moments.
Matt
and
flipped out.
Matt
Oh, it
flipped
was
out,
stupid.
and I just laughed for about like 30 seconds straight. It was pretty great.
Honestly, I would have flipped out if any of you said sword arts. You may all live another day.
When everyone's sort of online.
Uh-oh.
1v1.
Tristan's coming across the table. So, and then third favorite thing for me is just basically like the songs, like all of the songs that we've done. The Soul Eater one, you know, the Pokemon songs.
Oh my God, Totodile.
I love Totodile so much.
Oh gosh.
To bring back an oldie.
Okay,
you
no,
know.
I was really happy that Spooky Boogie got in the little
That was the
Tech Heads
greatest.
things. The
Yes.
what's it called?
the teaser.
Mixer, no, whatever it's called.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
the crap.
thing.
We're like good at
got a
this.
name.
Yeah, so
We're good at this.
all of our songs, you know,
Sizzler.
we messed up some, but honestly, even when I go back and listen to that Gurren Lagann one that we messed up because of the audio levels, I still kind of laugh at it just because it's so bad, it's good, sort of thing.
Oh, I get it.
Andrew's heard that one. Do you remember that?
no, I'm trying to forget it. I'm
Did not.
trying.
He's
I'm
wiped it from
repressing.
his memory.
All right.
Repressing.
Did your voice pierce the heavens?
Kenny, what are some of your favorite moments?
Well, the Spooky Boogie thing, because that was,
Shucks.
I had no idea what was going to happen. That was
great.
great.
That's
Excuse
okay.
me. That was great. And then I have to say my other favorite moment was when we've been planning on singing, what was it? The thing for Soul Eater, the main theme,
Yeah.
for like a week. And I looked at it once, and you extensively studied it. So I came in like, oh, we're going to do this really bad. And you're like, I know it by heart. And I was like,
yeah,
assume
it might
you've
still,
seen it. I had no idea.
it still might be my number one played thing
typewriter.
on iTunes because I would just listen to it like nonstop as I was walking
Because you
to
could tell
class.
how awful you were like sticking onto it. I was like, oh, in the background, like trying to keep
And then
up.
Mark was doing his.
Yeah, that was great. Like anytime we
funny.
sang, and oh crap, I think almost anytime Jeremy's on the podcast, because he always disses someone, and it's always really funny.
Jeremy's a
So-
funny guy.
He is a funny
You
guy.
should get him on more of these.
I want him to be on more of these, but he
He's
doesn't
so
watch
busy.
anime. Clara.
Okay, probably like you said, the one where Kenny was called because you guys are the worst. Um,
Yeah, you were almost crying.
I
it seemed
wanted to.
like.
Oh,
so sorry.
like probably like when we did the Psychopaths podcast, as we were watching like, the episodes as they came out, like when Kagiri. We're not gonna talk about that, but just like I liked those ones where we got to actually just talk about the one episodes, like just I don't know, like little short little bits. That and probably the first podcast I was ever on,
Which was the one where we sang
Cora
the Soul
one.
Eater.
Oh, yeah,
Because
yeah.
because I found out podcast and I was like, oh cool, I'm gonna totally comment and be like, yo, can I do this podcast? Because I was like, I don't have any friends, I'm gonna do podcasts. So I went on and made some friends, and Andrew, you, Kenny, and Mark were there, and Matt was there too, and we talked about Cora, and I remember you gave me this gigantic camera, and I was like,
Yep,
oh
my
my god,
T3i.
what? You don't know who I am. Why are you letting me hold this? And so, and like I remembered Andrew's name, and I remembered Mark's name, and that he agreed with me about Bolin. And I think I remembered your name was Kenny, and I could not
Appreciate it.
remember. But like
I
you
was
just-
forgotten apparently.
No, I remembered your name too.
Okay.
Is
But I could not remember Matt's name. But for some, like I couldn't remember Kenny's name at first, but I thought it was Kenny. Like, cause I was like, he looks like a Kenny. So
Kenny.
and I found out it actually was. I was like, thank God. But Like, it was just really fun because I got to see you guys sing and I got to hold a really fancy camera. And it was my first one. And I totally didn't suck. And I was really happy. And now I'm still here. And it makes me really happy that you guys still like me.
The start of
and
a
stuff.
beautiful friendship.
You guys still like me and want me around. It makes me really happy. Of
course
I'm a big
we do.
loser.
Of
So
course.
If you want to see the evolution, I think, in Kenny and I's friendship, like near the beginning, like when I met him freshman year, I was calling him Kenneth all the time.
And now we're at a
And now
principal level.
it's just Kenny all the time now.
Yeah,
just
usually
like
address you as
saying your
Alex, I
last
address you
name,
as
really.
Satan. Thanks all things you send me. That's how our relationship.
No, it's like it's usually Mr. Schmitz. Like when I call you on the phone, it's Mr.
Well,
Schmitz, Mr. McNulty.
That's why I don't dislike you. That
Aw.
I always love you, Alex. You know I do.
So next time I call you, you're just gonna be like, "Hello, Satan. How's it going?"
You know, maybe it depends on
Oh,
the
that,
that day.
that reminds
Can
me.
I
At
just
one
say,
point,
I like saying your last name,
McNulty.
McNulty.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's
So
nice to hear.
It's also the main
McNulty.
character, as well as the last name of the main character from The Wire.
There you go.
What?
What were we gonna
At
say?
one point in the
Detective
podcast,
McNulty.
Jeremy was having a real sleepy day, and he fell asleep for like
you
2
every time.
minutes and was so like thrown off
Yeah,
by
in the
what.
po- I remember that.
Because we all get really quiet. We're like, Jeremy, and he just wakes up. He's like, oh, and he felt so bad, and I was like, it's okay.
He tried to leave.
It's okay.
I'll say one of my favorite memories is we did this one episode on Fooly Cooley, which was basically Alex analyzes
Oh my
Fooly
God.
Cooley and talks for like 2 hours straight.
I think it was me
But-
trying to like putting every Ava reference we could. Me and
Yeah.
Matt like, so Ava did this. Ava did that.
you
this
and
is
you
Ava.
and Matt were just like putting all these Ava references and talking about how I had a Death Note, and you actually brought some funniness into the podcast, which
See?
actually made it
Yeah,
really
because you had it. no,
entertaining.
you had the Death Note.
I had the Death
Yeah,
Note.
I was like, well, Black Book gonna
My-
kill us.
my commonplace
Is it like
book.
our Ava? Because he was Alex talks about things, but there's Ava too. That's why it was so
Yes.
much fun.
Tie everything into Ava.
It worked. We actually somehow made it work. It was really bad, but we tried.
Okay, Andrew.
All right, so other than the spooky boogie thing, which is everyone's favorite,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
well, you have to
know
listen
much
to that
about
one.
Yes.
I can't think of the specific episode, but I do remember there was one time where I finally just jumped on the train with Clara and just started shipping everything. with her.
Yeah, Andrew's my other shipper.
So
If
I
anyone-
have
if
to
anyone
assist
has,
Clara.
Seen, I did a picture for Shredded Cels last year, and Andrew and I on our ship, the SS Spooky Boogie, with Gretchen.
Yes.
So Andrew's my first mate. I'm the captain, and I ship everything.
Can I be
You
the
do
cook?
ship everything.
If you want to.
That's
Yes.
right.
I'm Spock. though.
I remember
Cool.
because in that the Pokemon Heroes episode, you know, the one with the call and everything, we were talking about how like you were the shipper and like what type of ships we're using, like Spanish galleons or like double decker ships. You
All
know,
the
if there's
ships.
more than one
Obviously,
person you're
flying
shipping.
ships.
Oh,
You know,
of the
it was-
ship.
My
There's
ships are
lots of-
indestructible, and if they sink, they just convert into submarines and keep sailing.
It's
Holes make them stronger.
it's become to the point where if you're ever not on the podcast and I am, I have to take your place and ship
Aw,
somebody.
I'm
It's kind
so
of true,
proud of you.
actually.
I'm so, oh my god, I'm gonna cry. I'm so proud.
Aw.
Aw,
You've raised the new shipper.
I'm so
have.
proud of myself.
And Tristan, you're a newer member of the podcast. So you don't have as many memories, but you've been on a couple good ones.
Make up something.
Make me want
I was
to
thinking
come
for you, my sister particularly liked your toughness level 11 diamonds.
You think you can fight me with your muscles? Unfortunately, your muscles barely pass up to level 11, level 10's 9 steel. My muscles are stronger. Toughness level 11 diamonds. Now behold as I ride my bike to the brilliant world of Titan slaying.
on his bike.
Whoa, what?
Diamonds.
Okay, at
I
some-
guess if it's not coming out of me though, it would probably have to be Matt's "oh yeah" on the Ruby part.
Oh God, where he screamed as loud as he could.
Okay, I remember that. He completely blew out like everything.
Yeah, I
Why
had
did
it.
he yell?
I don't remember.
Oh,
No,
because
it was
she
your
said
fault.
someone.
Was it my fault?
Yes.
Yeah, you said someone was watching Code Lyoko in the library.
Oh,
and
yeah, he
was
just
so.
screamed.
Yeah.
And
Totally
it doesn't
okay.
sound as bad in the actual podcast because I literally took it down a few decibels.
See, the nice thing about Kolyoko, just a quick tie to theirs, every chance I get, I yell, "Go back to the past now!" And everybody who gets it, we have.
Return to the past.
Yes. Yeah. At some point, Tristan, I want you to show me this toughness level 11 anime you
what
keep
is that?
talking about.
Oh, that's Well, actually, I read it from the manga, but it does have an anime adaptation. Kinnikuman, or as it came over to America, its sequel series, Ultimate Muscle.
It's called Ultimate Muscle.
Ultimate Muscle.
I actually
I'm gonna
remember
cry.
that show. Wasn't that on?
Well,
11
yeah, but
diamonds.
this particular is from this. It's a sequel series, but
Okay,
it,
because
they
I remember that
basically
being
altered
on
the lines.
4Kids, I
Time
think.
is
No, not
very
4Kids.
late.
Foxbox.
Oh, Foxbox. Okay.
Yeah,
bed
but
tonight.
basically, it was it's a shonen series, like one of the earliest, but it was a fight against an enemy called Akuma Shogun.
Okay.
Akuma Shogun, and he basically they start because it's Jump. They kind of like and they extend a fight needlessly or something like that. And one of them is he like tries to hit him or something, and it doesn't work. And he says, "Having trouble? Can you come on? No matter what I do, I can't seem to do anything." Well, that's because my armor is made from diamonds.
That's a direct quote.
Level 11, not direct. It went something like
level
that.
11
At some point, he does go like,
Oh
"I
my
go
God.
up the toughness scale, diamonds."
That
All
is
right.
that's the
He
greatest
has
thing I've ever
alternate skins in some of the games where his armor is literally replaced with diamonds.
heard. I am now diamonds.
I am now
pretty awesome.
diamonds. Your argument is invalid. I am Akuma Shogun, and you are a wussy.
My
Nice.
hair's
The
a-
You are a
Timing.
weenus.
All right.
Very late.
And I just wanted to say, as we're wrapping things up here, just like I anticipate, like when I graduate, next year, like I'm gonna look back on like college and everything, and I'm gonna be first thing I'm probably gonna be most proud of as far as things that I made will be like the films that I did because I'm going to film school,
Probably.
making these
Oh,
films,
geez,
blah blah blah.
Probably, yes.
More
But
than
number
one?
two,
Plug.
well,
The
just about
friendships I made.
well, no friendships I made is number one. I mean,
said
come
number
on.
one was film.
I was talking
You
about
lied.
like as in creative
Loser.
things that I actually made, like something tangible.
Hey, Alex, what your words are saying? I hate all of you.
No, I love you, Kenny. Friendships are obviously the best. But no, so films is probably gonna be number one, but number two is probably gonna be Shredded Cels because this is something that I've hosted like almost every episode of, and yet we have like 50 episodes, 77 hours worth of content. Like
Disgusting.
Have fun, marathon.
It
Be
is.
arrested.
it's disgusting, but
bad.
it's just something sort of like that makes me proud, that we've come this far, made
my
50
number one?
episodes.
All the times we played Smash Brothers together and had our tender moments.
It's true. I
I
miss
mean,
those
how
days.
angry you get all the time because Alex is cheap.
Yeah.
And only plays
Grandmaster
Mark.
Supreme,
I will always love
Wait.
you.
Hold on. Before we sign off, Clara, you haven't done your thing yet.
Oh yeah,
What thing?
Japan.
Your
Say just
Japan.
about Japan.
Inspired by One Piece, Hanabi is fireworks, and Hana is flower, and B is fire. So fire.
There you
Fire
go.
flower. Wow, I can
Wow.
speak.
Well,
I
that's
can speak English and Japanese sometimes.
It was Usopp's failed
That's-
move against
Yeah,
that guy.
That's
Usopp failed a
interesting.
lot.
Thank
so,
Yeah,
because
so-
that guy's a jerk, but
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Kaku,
All right.
why? Kaku, why?
Sanji, best character ever.
All right. So, that's the end of our 50th episode. If we're actually the first.
Oh, God, it's the 50th?
That's I know, right? We're actually the first
Whoa.
Tech Heads
You
podcast
should
to
do
reach
something
50.
special.
We're even though Broken Controllers started technically before us, we've actually surpassed them in numbers. So we're awesome like
We
that.
are better.
Oh, yes. So if you've enjoyed this podcast, you can email us at techheads@avwproductions.com. You can follow us on Twitter at techheadsou, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes, give us ratings and reviews. We're AVW Media on YouTube. We got a blog, techheads.me. We're pretty awesome. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do for next week. We'll talk about that later. I've got some ideas, but we don't really have a solidified plan.
ho.
But we'll be back with episode 51 to bring you more anime goodness. So I want to thank all you for being with me for 50 episodes.
どういたしまして
I was with you for 3.
Well, we don't know that. I don't care.
All right.
But I'm second gen. Total Dial rules.
So long, listeners. Bye.
Boogie boogie.
Level 11.
Bulbasaur, level 1.
This product is copyright AVW Productions 2014.